It is your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smooth, along with
B. Baker.
and yes, we know someone isn't here physically.
Yep.
We're trying to respect the whole, social distancing and
Yeah,
everything.
that's why you way over there.
You way over there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we're trying to respect things, as we go with this show. And also, we are showing here that we're trying to promote, sanitizing and everything.
Right.
So I got the whole little, hand wipes and the sanitizer going on.
Man.
Trying to do a little something.
Trying to, man. Is this mine? Yeah, this is mine. Why is the volume not going down?
Uh-oh. Got them volumes up.
Okay, my volume is.
Hold on.
Nah, that got to be yours. Is that mine?
Let me see here.
Nah, that ain't mine. My volume down.
Make sure. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Now we good.
All right. I still hear us.
I still hear it too. All right. And so once again, you see yours truly and B. Baker as we get things together here.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're good now.
All right.
So like I said, we have one person who is not here physically, and that may be the case for the next few weeks. We may have, one or the other here alongside yours truly.
Yep.
But we do have him on the line, and that is...
Stand ready. Surprise, mother lover.
What up, dog?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Hey, we good, man. Blessed.
Yeah, man, we straight. How things going your way, brother?
Yeah. Oh, man, everything's good. I'm just taking precautionary measures for, the people over here in the house.
Hey, man.
Just trying to make sure we all stay healthy over these next 30 days. Oh, my God.
I totally understand. So now that we have everyone available, it's the platform sports talk show, because when it's about sports,
it becomes our business.
Business? It ain't picked us yet. We still...
I know. Well said, brother.
Yeah, it is.
Ain't nothing happening.
Right.
Business is business, as it was last week.
Man.
Yeah, so for the folks watching, thank you very much for tuning in. We know there's not a lot of sports. There's no sports.
No, I don't say a lot, man. Nothing going on.
Zero. There's none going on at all. But last week, y'all showed us love. We was down in the boondocks.
Yeah.
Me and Stan had a good time with Joe and her
family.
Man. And even though, like we said, there's not no sports going on, we still talked about a lot of sports topics, and we had a great time. We had a great following. Yep. So for everyone watching on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook.
Speaking of YouTube, is it
Thank
up?
you very much. Yes, it's up.
Okay, because I'm only seeing the commercials recently.
Oh no, that's the premiere. Before
here we go. Got it. I had to get out and get back in.
Got to get out, get up, get out and get something.
Okay, all cats. They're my guys right there, man.
But yeah, so like I said, man, we about to have a good time with this show.
Yes, sir.
Later on tonight, around the 8 o'clock hour, we will have from 101 ESPN, Stalter River Show, the Anthony Stalter.
Yes, sir.
Talented guy, former producer, I believe of the Fast Lane, and now once again host of the Midday Drive from 10 till 2. Good dude. Yeah. You're going to hear his story once again around the 8 o'clock time. But real quick, before I go any further, we had, like you said earlier, you just saw something on YouTube, a commercial.
Yeah.
So
what y'all think, man?
We collabed with some wonderful people. I want to give a shout out to the Woke brand.
Yeah.
As you see on the screen right there.
Yep.
Shouts out to Keisha Unlimited. You can see information on the screen. She held us down with the merchandise, the hoodies.
Yeah.
I'm going to still get some more colors, and now about to get warm outside, get some more tees.
We about to start slanging them things. Man. They need to hit the streets, man.
It's about to be crazy. I know we all got something from her, so thank you. Make sure y'all follow the Woke brand. Get at them as well. Then I got to also show love to the homie who made our logo, made it pop, man.
Yeah.
The dude came in. We had a vision.
Yep.
And he brought to life.
Yep.
So shouts out to Tono.
Yep. Tono Wilson.
Make sure y'all follow him on Facebook, IG. I'm pretty sure you got other sites as well. But thank you, man, for the vision, for the previous mini little promo that we had on YouTube and everything.
Yep.
So definitely shouts out to them. And last but definitely not least, we came to this woman and we had a plan. We had a plan. And
she really brought it.
Yes, she held it down. Just had a little one not too long ago. Brave the elements.
Yeah, man.
Stan, all I know you can relate. We out there trying to survive.
Oh my God.
Look, we all knew my issue out there, okay?
Man.
And we ain't got to talk about it either. But just know that we all made it through. All right.
We did our thing, man.
Man, it was crazy, but definitely shouts out to Marines for doing an incredible job with our commercial. If y'all haven't seen it, y'all are tripping because it's the dopest sports talk commercial you're gonna see.
Yep.
We definitely changed the game, like we said before. For those who are blue, y'all gonna love what y'all saw, and for those who are not from the Lou, y'all going to be like, I'm about to come on through and check this out, man.
Not right now. You come out like June or something. When all
right.
We don't need no.
Shoot, we
hope. We mean come out via social media right now.
Right.
Because we
trying to make this Easter goal, okay?
Man,
that's crazy, man. It's truly amazing.
Crazy Lent season.
Right. And then y'all who lives out in D.C. talking about something trying to have things ready to go by Easter, bruh.
Nah. Too soon.
Nah, it's too soon. Yeah. Especially when, and we don't try to go too far with for sports, but we just gotta keep it real, okay? Because that's the kind of situation that we in.
Right.
But you don't even have a cure. You don't even have any kind of resolution.
Nah, it's just like you gotta pass through. But that ain't good enough for some people, man. Like you said, the elderly. You know, just like even with your daughter upstairs, I couldn't even high five her like I usually do, man. Because you don't want kids to don't have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So
you ain't trying to do. I ain't even dap them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got air mail.
Exactly.
Boom, fireworks.
We did plenty of it, man.
Hey, remember y'all got to adapt shoes. Remember you got to adapt shoes.
That's within 6 feet. Nah, we saluting air salute.
Y'all ain't gonna, bro. If y'all dap heel, y'all heel. Like like the kid play used to do.
Nah.
He said like kid play used to do.
We salute. That's it. Just like you get one, he get one. We passing them around.
It is what it is.
Right. These cats straight was taking our temperature at work today just to come through the gate.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's like that right now, man. Right.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, I almost U-turned and went back to the crib when I seen that.
And he'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna take it personal.
Man, straight up. And I don't even work with nobody. I work solo dolo. So if they gotta take your temperature to ride by yourself, there's something going on.
You got ladies out there crushing on him on his
route. Explain that video, man. Explain the video, bro.
I'd rather not. I'd rather not. If you friends with me, go look at my story. If you ain't,
right.
Sorry.
It's enough said right
now. Enough said, man. It's just doing
said.
too much, man. Doing way too much. Like, for real, dog.
Oh, man. So, Stan, if you are able to, well, you probably can't because you on the phone. So, I'll just ask B to look at everything via YouTube in regards to the comments. So, bring them comments.
Oh, so I'm at the crib, connected to Wi-Fi. Although outside of my house, I can do all things through Christ. Who strengthens my Wi-Fi connection.
There you go, man. Talk to him.
Shouts out to Adam Flowers on YouTube. He says, "Keep it up, fellas. Thank you, man."
Appreciate it, dog. What up, Adam?
Hey, this dude here, he works out a lot. He he does movies too.
Okay,
so
all right.
He's from the Lou, but he goes and travels to different states and everything and does movies. He's a good dude.
Yeah,
man.
I'm trying to get my homeboy to come out, man. He dang, where Craig live at? I forgot. I want to say he in L.A., but he a movie producer. They one that did Street Balls. What I was telling y'all about.
Yeah.
Want to get him on, man. So shout out to what you say, Adam Flowers.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, bro.
There we go. And shouts out once again to everyone who's watching this show. This is your first time. We do this every Wednesday night, 7:00 Central Standard Time. Next week will
every Wednesday.
Man,
right? Not
this
once.
Show don't miss a week, man.
No. And hey, we try to keep.
We ain't missed a day,
man.
But next week, 3 years, man.
I know, right?
3 years doing this.
We got to remix the Super Show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But shout out to everybody that was gonna come out. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all for being available for us if we needed y'all. But you know, with everything going on now, I don't know, bro.
Yeah, but we're gonna definitely get back to having that full array of people to be part of the show.
It's going down.
Yeah, so just got to postpone it for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, destination, place, and everything. We got to push it back a little bit.
It's all good, man. It could be a lot worse, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to y'all for holding it down for 3 years, dog.
Man, thank you. And once again, shout out to Sadal. He made an appearance on the commercial.
Yeah, he did. I'm glad, man. Shout out to him, man. Shout out to Sadal, man. Shout out to him for kicking game, too, man. I like that video clip you posted.
Yeah.
That was some real stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm going to save that for my final say.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So for those who ain't peep it out, you can definitely peep it on this right here.
Convoluted, Sadal.
I just got to voice my grievance real quick. Smooth, I don't appreciate the speech that you're using to me. Look, okay, I'm like, this is not an accurate representation.
That boy look like Roughtone this
Hey, now so on the full page.
The boy got all 32 on.
You being funny out there. You gonna post the poll at the end of the show. We gonna find out who the handsomest member of the platform for talk show is. I guarantee you, I'm worried about this one.
There you go, hey man. Hey, look.
Hey, if you feel that good, hey, do your thing, bro.
Hey, bro, I'm 40, man. My best years are behind me, brother. I don't give none.
Hey,
I'm cool.
I'm like fine wine, baby.
That's cool, man. Hey, if my woman tell me I'm good. I don't need nobody. As long as she say I'm good, my girl and my mama. As long as they good, I'm good.
We are straight.
Yes, sir. Straighter than 6 o'clock. Straighter than 9:15.
See, Stan's still dealing with them young millennials, so.
Man, Stan in his 20s, bro. In my 20s, you better not tell me nothing, ever.
I don't want to hear it.
Man. What? I'll get something right now and show you what I'm talking about.
Right. All right,
do your
man.
thing, bro.
So I know we did this last week. B, you wasn't here. You wasn't there on the show, of course.
Right.
But for the first time in a long time, with all three of us here.
Okay, then.
The round table begins.
Oh man.
Right now.
Okay, round table it out. All right. So what's the deal, man? First of all, man, shout out to ESPN, NBA TV, ESPN Classic. At least giving us something to get us by right now. They've been showing all the greatest games from the past, and showing. Also, shout out to them showing sports that we don't even think about looking at. I didn't even know dodgeball be on ESPN sometimes.
ESPN 8, the Ocho, bro.
The Ocho, man, yeah. Everybody getting hip to it now.
Don't be disrespectful.
Man, I did not know, bro. I got the app, but the app be crashing a lot, so I ain't never really been able to explore all the options, you know what I'm saying? But now, in these dire times that we in, you kind of search around and stuff like that. So I didn't know they had it popping like that. So shout out to them for that.
In all honesty, I remember the movie Dodgeball. I found out about the Ocho. I thought it was a fake network that they just made up for the movie.
Right. I didn't know they shot it out the movie.
Real. They got cornholing and
cornhole something serious for them, man.
Whatever.
Who?
Like teach course spitting contest. They got it all on the Ocho.
I ain't see that one.
I ain't know about that one either.
Yeah, I ain't even help.
Y'all got it's the weirdest stuff, man.
Yeah, it sound weird. I'm cool on anything spitting.
Other news, before we had the virus scare, we're going to see it getting bigger and bigger. Jonte Porter, former Mizzou Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's tough.
Next season, he'll be ready to rock and roll.
I never seen dude play neither.
Yeah, I saw him he played a full season, but then the second year he got hurt.
Okay,
and he didn't come back.
Yeah, I never got a chance to watch him play, man. So
yeah, I definitely had high hopes for him. to, the second year at Mizzou to elevate.
You had high hopes for every quarterback.
You ain't lying.
He got high hopes for every Tiger.
Hey, but look at what Michael Porter Jr. is doing with Denver.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It took him a while to get there, but he definitely looking like he worked it, though.
But it's like now you see why I was like I was when he was in Mizzou, because I saw the potential. He just couldn't be on the floor.
But as Jonte is prolific as he is, like, because I never really heard about it. All I know is he Michael Porter's brother.
He was developing to that point.
So he wasn't that guy, though. That's what I'm saying. He developed.
Not yet.
Yeah, okay.
But
so you going off raw potential, yeah.
Yeah, he showed out the first year. He almost made all SEC freshman team and everything. So he was getting to that point. But like I said, the second year, he just couldn't. He held, I think, right before preseason started.
Yeah.
They were going through their scrimmages, and he hurt his knee, and that was it.
All of them got hurt, even the sister.
Right.
So
if your last name Porter, it just ain't.
Exactly, yeah. Unless you Terry,
Right.
So just for people like me that never seen him play, how would you describe his game?
All right, so he's 6'11", just like pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a lefty.
Okay.
He has a better outside game.
Lefties, we always can shoot, man.
Be quiet. And
Talk to him, Stan. We leave it, dog. We leave it. We got that jumper.
He's more of a bigger, wide body.
Okay.
Than Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter is more of a frail.
Yeah, the little brother always more stock. They eat all the food when they little. That's why.
So he has more of a stock to him.
Yeah, okay.
For a better post game.
Yeah.
And but I think Michael Porter Jr. has more handles at this point.
So he more of a low post, and Michael Porter Jr. is more like the hybrid.
Right.
Okay.
I think they always had the comparison between him, Michael Porter Jr. and Durant, like those two, in regards to their size and how they play. I ain't talking about skill wise, like they're great in regards to Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, I know.
But in regards to skill, size, and how they look,
right.
Jonte is more of a wider body who can dominate the post better than I think Michael Porter Jr. can.
Okay.
But I just hope for the best for him, man.
Yeah.
Be healthy and have fun. You're gonna be playing with John Morant, and that young
and an up and coming group,
Yes.
That's what's up, man.
I hope things.
Young Memphis score, man. That's exciting.
Him and Jared Jackson, man.
Right.
Them two alone, bro. They gonna get it, man. So anything they add, and Dylan Brooks too. You know what I'm saying? Anything they add to that, you know what I'm saying? I'm with it. So shout out to them.
Yeah, man. XFL news: Jordan Ta'amu, quarterback from the Battlehawks. He got signed by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Word? Already?
Yes.
Now that hurt, because I was like, dang, we ain't even get a full season with him.
Exactly, man. And I seen your post about them trying to be like the G League, you know what I'm saying? And I got mixed opinions about that, you know what I'm saying? All positive, though.
Yeah.
But I just kind of feel like, yeah, that's a plus for the players to get their goal to go to the NFL. But I kind of think the XFL trying to make their own mark. Slowly but surely. I think they want to develop their own league and compete with the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I see where T-Bone Funk was coming from in regards to not trying to have the XFL be the G League.
Right, yeah.
The reason why I say is because at the end of the day, a lot of those players who are playing for the XFL, they are playing there because they didn't get the opportunity that they wanted.
Right, yeah, that's true.
In the NFL. So it gives people like the Chiefs and P.J. Walker from the Houston Roughnecks. He's going to the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, then.
Then the New York Guardians defensive end, I forgot his name, but he's now going to, I believe, the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives these teams an opportunity to look at these guys like, okay. Because I just know that their end game is still trying to make it to the NFL.
Oh, yeah. For right now. But you know what? I'm going to just say mine because you just gave me a what-if idea.
Okay.
So I just got my what-if just that fast, just thinking about that. But I like I like the direction that they going in. I like the fan support, especially here, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, the atmosphere when we went down there, that was crazy. Both weeks I went down there. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not even a sports fan, y'all need to go tailgate the Battlehawks game next season. You know, because unfortunately we don't have it this season, but you know, concerts, fanfare, you know, good food, you know, drinks, you know, just the people just proud of something going on downtown, man. Nobody had any issues going on down there. You know what I'm saying? Me and Fred got our scooter on down there, you know what I'm saying? We slid through there a couple times. So, I just encourage everybody. I'm just glad that we got something in this city that's positive, man, and I hope they keep it going. So, but
Stanley, any thoughts?
I can definitely attest to what you guys were saying about going to the tailgate. Like I'm very disappointed that I didn't get a chance to authentically enjoy a tailgate. Like, we were down there, but we were down there for filming.
Yeah, we was on business,
I didn't really get a chance to take it all in. And I parked right by one. But by the time that I was heading back, that we were done, they were getting ready to start the game.
Yeah.
So, really didn't get the chance. And I just wish I would have, honestly.
Yeah, you was the first one down there that day.
A great time. Huh?
I said, you was the first one down there that day. I remember that.
Yeah, I was trying to find out. I was like, man, I didn't know what, I think Smooth got there before me. No?
Nah, you was there.
Yeah, because he was like, I'm over here.
Yeah, he told us where he was located, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to, yeah, shout out to Austin Huff, man.
And then I saw my cousin, it's my cousin's husband, who plays for the XFL. She's been giving me goose ever since.
Oh, that's all good. You talked to my point. Okay. When we was when you said that was your cousin, yeah.
All right, so you just gonna say what happened? Oh, okay.
Right.
All right. You got stalkers on your left.
What?
You got stalkers?
Who? You?
Even though she lived there. No, the lady.
Oh, bruh.
Yep. But for real, as far as Jordan Ta'amu goes, Ta'amu, I'm sorry, I'll put some respect on that man's name. He's now going to the Champion Chiefs. So, with all he did in the XFL, it was a pretty good rap sheet, huh?
Yeah.
It looked good. It caught Kansas' eye. I'm excited. I hate to see him go.
Yeah.
But if that's what it leads to, then I'm definitely excited for him. I want him to prosper. I want him to hopefully be able to work out a deal where he can still come play with us in the offseason.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if the NFL will let that happen because, they're all about the preservation of their players.
Nah, that's true. Yep.
Yeah, and I know the NFL, they're not going to allow them to go switch leagues during the offseason. They ain't going to
happen. Hell no.
Especially him being
you got to commit to one or the other. Yeah, you don't get two contracts. They too greedy for that.
Happen. We got a few comments here. Shouts out to Jay. He says, true in regards to the XFL. Mm-hmm. In regards to possibly, he was referring to how it's a possible stepping stone for the end goal to be NFL.
Right.
Yeah. T-Bone says STL is a prime example. The NFL failed y'all, and the XFL filled in the gap.
Facts. No argument here.
Then he says, being
and what's sad is they filled in the gap, and they didn't even get a full season.
Two games, bro, and it was a crazy 2 games.
Right. And they
had just opened up for higher seeding.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That was crazy. Was we the first to open up the overdue?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought.
Because it was going to go down, I believe, last weekend.
Right.
Would have been the first time they would have opened up the top.
Yeah.
And I listened to 101 ESPN, and Michelle golly, I'm getting the name. Michelle.
Right.
Smallman. There we go.
Okay.
Michelle Smallman. She's one of the in-game hosts at the Battlehawks game.
Okay.
And she was saying that they were expecting around 40 to 50,000 people.
Damn.
To be at that game against of all teams, the LA team.
Right.
Against of all teams.
Wow, yeah. That was rivalry out the gate. They don't even know no better.
That was gonna be personal.
Could you imagine?
Nothing to do with them.
Nothing. But could you just?
But that's clunky. That's how they gonna look at them. Yeah.
Yeah, that scene would have been off the chain.
Yeah, I ain't even trip on that, man.
For that LA team, I don't know what in the damn hell is going on over there, but I don't like it.
We talk about that later on too. I got that for either week.
I figured so. Yeah.
Let's just say it matched with the color of this Lysol container.
I'm glad you said that because I was wondering if you was gonna bring it or if I was gonna bring it. So now I know I gotta go otherwise. Cool, got you. Yep.
And then T-Bone also says being separate makes them feel major league still in regards to the XFL.
Yep.
But being the G League, the G League would make them the minor league. think it will hurt the excitement for the fans? I don't know, because for us, we just glad that we have professional football back.
Right, and that's why I was saying with my point earlier, they need to have these teams in smaller markets.
Right.
Teams that don't have an NFL team, so it feel like a pro team for real, for real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's y'all team. So that's what I would say would make them compete better with the NFL. You can't have an LA team in an LA team, an NFL and an XFL team. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said if I was part of ownership, I would look more into a smaller market. Now, I get, ticket sales and everything like that. You could spike them a lot higher in bigger cities.
Right.
But you could probably sell more tickets in a smaller city. And like you said, the upper deck thing will be a normal now. You know what I'm saying? So I agree 100% with what he's saying, though.
Shouts out to Coach Corey Bethany.
What up, dog?
Congratulations are in order. He is now one of the coaches at Lindenwood University.
Okay, then.
So he moved on from St. Mary's. Now he's doing this thing at Lindenwood College.
Yeah, they had something about them. Oh, where I see that at? I'm gonna have to find it and send it to you later, man. But they had like a documentary or something, or some. I had posted it too. It was on the page. I gotta go back and look.
T-Bone says they have to for ratings, but I agree otherwise in regards to having smaller markets.
Right, yeah.
Because like the NFL, fans don't even support the LA teams now.
That's what I'm saying.
So you gonna add a third?
Why don't y'all go like up to San Jose or something?
Yeah.
San Jose. You know what I'm saying? Anybody.
Right.
So
Corey says, "What's good, fellas? Everything is great our way, man. You see, we working on our social distancing and everything."
This brother, if he come within 6 feet, it's a flagrant.
it's a problem.
It's a flagrant. He getting fined. What up, CB? Congratulations, bro. Yeah, straight up, man.
It's always cool to see.
Good things always happen to good people, man.
Yeah, especially when you be on our show.
Definitely want to send a congrats out to the coach.
Yes, sir, the coach.
Yeah, man.
AKA the GOAT.
For those watching, once again, I'm your boy Smooth, along with
B. Baker.
In behalf,
baby.
He is on the line, so this may be a norm for many. You may see B. Baker here, or you may see standing on the other end for a few weeks until we get things back in order. But we're glad that y'all tuned in. For those watching for the first time, share this stream. If you're on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, just share with the peoples right now. Let's get some more conversations going on with the peoples. Yeah. But so like you said, in regards to smaller markets, go to Rhode Island.
Yeah.
ESPN don't know where Rhode Island is.
Rhode Island.
I know the more the Catino Mobley played for. That's it. That's the only thing I know.
Rhode Island don't want no parts of that.
How you know?
Right.
How you know?
They are.
Have you seen movies set in Rhode Island?
No, I haven't.
Like clam chowder.
All right, they go to Vermont.
Hey,
New Hampshire.
Wasn't Aquaman shot there?
What? It sure was.
All those states, the Rhode Island, the Vermont, the Maine, they're not there for sports. Those are the getaways. Those are where the winter homes are.
You ain't lying, because East Coast is such a different winter, dog.
All right, so with that being said, maybe like a Kentucky.
Kentucky for sure.
Kentucky, yes.
You know what I'm
saying? And then that'll even increase it more because Kentucky is diehard for University of Kentucky.
What about
good Lord?
What about the actual state of Kansas?
Where would they go though? Wichita? I don't know. If
Kansas City, Kansas.
Right.
Like on Field of Dreams, you build it, they come.
Right, pretty much, yeah. I mean, you go out there in the sticks and you get it cracking. T-Bone say San Antonio, Orlando, or Louisville. I knew Orlando was gonna be up there with him.
Oh yeah, he gotta have Orlando.
Of course he's gonna play Orlando.
Louisville will probably be a good one too, bro. So.
They don't have a team in the AAF.
Do they? I don't know.
They may have. I'm not sure. T-Bone, do they have a team in the AAF, Orlando? And then Corey Bethany says, if it wasn't for y'all having me on the show, I wouldn't have gotten the job.
You already know. Give us our props, dog. You know what I'm saying? Talk to him. Let him know.
At least he knows.
Yeah, you better rock a hoodie first practice.
He also says XFL should go to OKC. I like that.
Okay.
Lexington, Kentucky, Omaha.
Okay.
Omaha.
Yeah, they already a big college football town, so might as well.
And then he also has Atlantic City.
Nah. No.
Why you say that?
You ever been to Atlantic City? Yeah. That's like Vegas.
Yeah, I know.
East Coast Vegas.
Yeah.
You got to have major league team for that. You can't have a minor league or upstarting professional team. Too many distractions.
T-Bone says yes. Orlando did have a AAF team.
Okay then. All right.
I thought so.
That's what's up, man.
Shouts out to Joshua Parker. He's watching right now.
What up, dog?
Got Danielle. Got Danny, the model.
What up?
She's watching right now.
Okay.
Barbara Simpson. She just joined in. Shouts out. Once again, everyone, please
What's up,
share. T-Bone says Salt Lake City.
The Utes.
Hey, I recall prior to the football season, I was like, watch out for this team, the Utah Utes.
Yeah.
And staying like the Utes.
Right.
What the hell is the Utes?
Right. Man, straight up.
And then they end up having a great record.
They did.
They was like this close to being in the.
We brought them up on the
big
show.
bowl.
See, that's what happens.
That's what happens when you.
Man.
I'm telling you, when we bring your name up.
Hey, just call in. Tell us to bring you up. Watch what happens.
Right. All right, so let's keep on.
Motherfucker.
All right, so
Yep.
So last week we discussed about a particular NFL quarterback who left his former team.
Yep.
And his name is, I believe, Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
He officially made that deal official this past Monday, I believe, going to the Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. And Stan had an interesting comment in between our conversation we had on Instagram. Make sure y'all follow us at 314 Sports Talk.
There you
but
go.
anyway, no, I'm sorry.
No, that's Twitter. Yeah.
That's platform, right? That's platform Sports Talk.
Give him time.
Right. But no, my bad. So. Stan, you had some interesting comments and thoughts about Tom Brady. Terry Bradshaw was pretty much saying, in his eyes, he saw the reason
Charles
why.
Barkley of football.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
He pretty much was saying how he felt Tom Brady only chose to go to Tampa Bay to try to prove to Bill Belichick that he can win without Bill. And
smart,
Stan feels differently.
Yep.
Stan, please explain.
I just do not feel like Tom Brady is going to be able to make it without Bill Belichick.
Why you think though?
I feel like Tom Brady, his ego, and honestly, given the story that surfaced on Bleacher Report earlier this week, it's safe to say that Tom Brady is in his feelings.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, but
y'all don't know what was on Bleacher Report?
No.
All right, so I'm gonna drop a name for y'all as I go ahead and pull it up. Y'all remember this one kid whose name was he was some run-of-the-mill quarterback, Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jacoby Brissett, he was formerly on the I'm not gonna call him Brisket. I'm gonna give the man his respect.
That's his name.
Don't worry about it.
Anyway, I'm gonna give it.
It ain't disrespectful if it's your name.
So Jacoby Brissett was on the Patriots alongside Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so once the Patriots won the championship, that September, they traded Brissett to the Colts.
Oh,
and then that's when Garoppolo's fever started because he was viewed as a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the night of the trade deadline in what year was that? The year they traded him to San Francisco, when they offered Jimmy to the Niners for the second-round pick, it came out, and this was 2 days ago, that Belichick initially offered Tom Brady to San Francisco.
Mm.
That September, they traded Brissett. Bill Belichick was about to part ways with Tom Brady, just like that.
He was. I remember that. That was Robert Kraft that had to step in for that one.
And then it says that a source close to Belichick said that Robert Kraft, and I quote, shut that S down fast.
Yeah, that's what I just said, yeah. And that's when they were talking about, can you hear us? Your cricket acting up?
Can you hear us, Stan?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, no, I had just said that about Robert Kraft, and I was like, everybody was calling Tom Brady his son and all that stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now, going back in regards to Tom Brady, because I think people are still maybe trying to underestimate that at the end of the day, he is still one of the greatest quarterbacks in the game.
Yeah.
And he wants to, as him being a competitor, he wants to prove why he is that without having Bill Belichick. That's what a GOAT would want to have.
I respect that.
In regards to the mindset.
I respect it.
Now Stan, he is not looking at green pastures at all and doing his time.
I don't blame him.
But I just feel like Tom Brady wasn't outside of Edelman ever since. I know Joe, when she brought up it's gonna be weird seeing him in the Bucs uniform. I think last week she brought up about not having Gronk anymore.
Yeah, that was weird already.
And then the wide receiver crew you had, they didn't know how to run the routes.
Nope.
But Bruce Arians and this Buccaneers team, they got Mike Evans, and you got some other guys who can probably perform better than what he had in New England
this past season. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but Tom Brady had a lot of weapons. You know what I'm saying, along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying, and just that mind state that he gonna have to bring to that type of team, you don't know how they gonna respond to it. You know what I'm saying, and he kind of at the same time, he don't have no wiggle room. It got to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we gonna see. I mean, I honestly don't know how it's gonna go.
That's why I look forward to seeing what he's gonna do. We know he's great.
Yeah.
But let's see how great you are without
Chris Griffin gonna get off with him. I know that for a
fact. It is not gonna go the way you guys think. I'm just trying to let you know.
I don't think nothing. So it ain't me. It ain't guys.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to see what's gonna happen. Like I said, I can't stand Tom Brady. Just for the record, I just can't stand the dude. Period. But I respect his game and I respect his decision to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? So if he goes there and has a successful season, my hat off to him, no matter what my personal feelings about him are. You know what I mean? And the fact that he going to a team with 2 1,000-yard receivers, you know what I'm saying, lets him know he ain't going no scrubs. He got options. You know what I mean? And he got, the defense trying to come up now. They trying to save some money to get that going on too.
They just re-signed Ndamukong Suh.
Did they?
Yeah.
Well, he kind of past his prime though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And JPP passed his as well. So they got big names on defense. But I'm talking about people that's gonna get it done. Though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll see though, man. That's why they play the game, like you said. That's why we play the game.
Let's see how great you are without Belichick.
Yep.
All right.
Not that great.
Not that great. The Olympics.
Should have let it go.
Yeah.
His ego's about to mess up his entire legacy.
Right.
We're going to see, man.
Yep.
See, you make it sound like you Tiger Woods.
Man, straight up. He might get clubbed in the Buick or something. Like, man, run into a tree.
Don't drive the Cadillac at night.
Man, you going to run into a tree.
Don't cheat on Giselle.
Oh. He better not. She make more money,
Ooh. Can't say nothing.
Yeah, he just not got that bag this year.
She on that European money.
That's what I'm saying. He just got his bag this year. She been had that.
T-Bone says Tampa's where most people from the Northeast go to retire. That's another fact. Because a lot of Tom Brady's games, especially at home over his past 20 years, have been in the cold.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Florida and Arizona are the retirement home.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. If you West Coast or you want to be South. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, I believe it was tactical with that too. Off the field issues, and not issues, but reasons as well. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? We'll see.
I think it was a lot of trust was gone from the organization.
Oh yeah.
Brady wanted this, but Belichick didn't want to reach out and do what he thought. He didn't want to pretty much adhere to what Brady wanted.
Right.
So, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So, the Olympics, as of this past Monday, was officially canceled.
We knew that was coming, yeah.
But I don't know why it took so damn long.
Money.
They like, man, we got to still hold on.
Yeah.
We got to still do it. No, you
over,
got to be smart, man.
Yeah.
You got to be smart. Because, look, you're talking about countries uniting all together for, 3-4 weeks, and how much that could have really hurt a lot of stuff if that would have went down. So
yeah, I meant
they made the right call to finally do it.
I actually meant to, not to cut you off. I meant to look into that, man, and see doing wars and stuff like that. That was the Olympics a factor. You know what I'm saying? I meant to do my homework on that early, but I had a lot of stuff going on earlier today. But
you can think about it though. Now I'm not sure if it was during the times of the Olympics, but remember when Muhammad Ali, he was trying to get drafted. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that was during the Olympics, but I know there has been a select few who.
That's what I'm saying, because the Olympics only 4 years,
right.
so you don't know if that stuff was during the actual Olympics or if it was like year before, year. That's what I'm saying. I'm curious to know, like, did the recession hit during the Olympics? Did any of the wars hit during the Olympics? Did any kind of other social issues or anything? I mean, obviously we didn't have no plagues or pandemics.
Oh, they were rioting in Brazil last time.
You said what happened?
They were rioting in Brazil. They did not want them there.
Yeah, I remember that, but that kind of blew over though.
I mean, publicly in Brazil, no, they were still rioting.
Okay. But it didn't affect the Olympics, though.
Give no attention to it.
Right.
You notice how when you don't give attention to something, people forget about it?
Yes, sir. Keep telling people that, man. That's the only thing you can give. If you take away attention, it kills a lot of stuff, man. A lot of negativity. So, that might be my final say.
It is. Once again, for those watching for the first time, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. I'm your boy Smooth, along with
B. Baker.
And on the phone, there we go. Man, it's about sports.
It becomes our business.
And business. Just picked up. First of all, I don't know why y'all acting like I don't say my stuff first. Just because I ain't catchy, y'all out there getting ahead of yourselves.
Hey, man, look, we just run the play, man. You know what I'm saying? Somebody.
I'm running the play.
No.
I'm out here trying to call audible.
Hey, man, yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that. Hey, man, we saw the blitz. We saw the blitz coming, man. Blue 32. Omaha. Everybody know Omaha. We have remix it.
Oh, man. So, with this pandemic going on, do you honestly see the NBA coming back this season?
They're going to force it. Yep. They're going to force it. Because
it depends on how many people you see. If anybody else in the NBA comes out with coronavirus, then that just might be it. But so far, we haven't heard of a case since Kevin Durant, I think.
No. 2 Lakers, they just don't want to put their name out there.
Right.
It's 2 Lakers that got it. They just haven't said who. They won't disclose who they are. That was the last case that I heard of. But it was after Kevin. That was after Kevin Durant. I don't even believe Kevin Durant got it. I think he did that for his Twitter feed.
Oh, Lord.
Him need attention.
That's his ghosting friend.
That's his ghosting friend. Hey, you can't talk about him. He got coronavirus. Leave him alone. That's his handicap.
And speaking of which, prayers go out to Karl Anthony Towns and his mother. She's in a coma on a respirator due to the virus. Just praying for you. And it was good to see, and you know how much they've had the battles, him and Joel Embiid, throughout the last couple of seasons. Joel Embiid reached out via Twitter like, hey, we praying for you, we got your brother. So it's good to see that, you may have your battles on the field, but when it gets down to, outside the lines and life, you know what I'm saying, it's still a respect factor. So that's good. But once again, man, prayers up in regards to Karl Anthony Towns.
And whoever dealing with it, man.
Exactly.
Anybody.
Exactly. There's so many cases that have been reported and a lot that has not.
Exactly.
That's the scary thing
about
this whole pandemic.
I actually got tested last week, bro.
And the results say
I was good. I was good. I had a touch of food poisoning. And so the symptoms I had nothing to do with the coronavirus symptoms, but it was just weird how, I ain't gonna get into the gory details of it, but food poisoning, y'all know what happens with that. Yeah. And so
damn,
man.
Sorry.
Nah, it was I ain't gonna even say their name because I love them and I don't want to put no shame on them. But I had one of my favorite meals in St. Louis. St. Louis was born and raised. And them.
Not
the Square.
Oh
no. Yeah. So yes. And it tore me up, man. So I went and got tested. Took them 2-3 days to hit me back.
That's what I heard about.
Yeah. So they hit me back, told me I was good. Just had a touch of food poisoning. It passed through really fast. I was good the next day. Matter of fact, I think I was good that night. I went to my cousin's house that night and talked to them about it. But but just be serious about it because it's actually a respiratory situation. You know what I mean? So I knew I didn't have those symptoms.
Like hard time breathing.
But the funny part about it is everybody always saying, it's only celebrities that get it. Okay, how many people We ain't got tested for it.
Oh no. Here's the biggest one. It don't happen to black people.
Well, our white blood cells are higher, so I understand why people think that. No. But we still humans. Like, stop being stupid. Come on, what I mean? Yeah.
It don't happen to people who's 26 years old and under.
Okay.
Think that.
Okay.
For those watching, thank you once again. Share this stream with the peoples. What are y'all doing right now to take over? You're not watching sports.
Right.
Give us your comments. Let's talk about it. Doesn't matter what it is. Let us know what are you doing right now to take over the fact that we don't have sports and may not have it for a minute.
Yep. I think I'm finna start a pillow fight with my lady when I get home. You in trouble. I'm bored.
About to get it.
We got new pillows. I'm like, yeah, it's a good time for that.
Oh, man.
So, but yeah, I mean, just TikTok done went crazy. They done benefited the most from it. You know what I'm saying?
TikTok and shouts out to all the artists, whether you are a DJ.
Yeah, they've been holding us down.
Man, I saw a Erykah Badu concert yesterday on Facebook. I shared it on my page. Dope, man.
Okay, I ain't see that one.
Yes, check it out. She had it in her bedroom. She had the full-fledged band. She was sitting in her bed, had the little microphone thing going. She had a beat machine doing her thing, little piano thing going, keyboard. Had background singers, keyboardists, bassists. They all in the room, just like boom, boom, boom.
Didn't you know?
Dude, they got it in.
I love Erykah Badu, man.
They got it in.
That's what's up, man. I'm gonna check that out.
And Stan, I know that you earlier had a IG live you was promoting.
Yeah, man, you try to share it, bro. It ain't come up, man. I gotta check. I'm gonna have to go on your page and look at it. But when you try to share it, it didn't pop up.
Man, because by the time you probably got out, it was over.
Probably. I was working. It should still be on your page, though.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah.
I just did a Q&A with the homie Lisa the poet. She dropped her poetry album today.
That's what's up, man. And someone that we know is featured on that album. Is that correct?
Yeah, Ja Rule is on the album, man. I don't know how we pulled that.
Are you ready? Sanchez, you ready? I guess not. Okay, then.
Well, I guess not.
Jeffrey Atkins in the building.
And once again, the DJs, all the music artists, spoken word. You know, we having open mics.
DJ Premier tore it down, bro.
Premier D-Nice
doing. D-Nice got it in, yep.
So shouts out to all y'all who is making up for time, man. Just we ain't got this going on. Let's do something different.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of how we just are able to create different magic.
Yeah. I watched not to plug nobody else's podcast, but I saw the Lamar Odom interview. That was dope, man. It was long. It was about 2 hours, 3 hours, but it was good what he touched on and how he talked about what happened with him in the league and with the Kardashians and everything like that. So good to see him back on his feet too.
So was that just a one episode thing, or?
Yeah, it was one episode. Okay. They edited though because they had some. They showed the preview and they was about to fight a couple times because of the questions that was being asked.
Oh wow!
They got real personal with him, but him and Nori go back. They two Queens cats. You know what I'm saying? So. But he actually promoting a new VR system. So they had in the middle of the table where they got virtual reality, just like if we had it right here and somebody was watching our show, slight plug, they could look around right where we sitting at, and they could look at the camera, look at you, look at me, and focus on whatever they want to focus on, like they sitting right here in front of us. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was dope. He trying to make that take off. But he talked about, I remember the old M1 mixtapes. And Lamar Odom did the coldest sham God I ever seen in my life, dog. Especially with him being 6'10", so he shammed him and went through his legs. And they were talking about that, how Rucker Park had rained out, so they had to do it at Gaucho's gym. And they were talking about, him and Ron. I need to see that Ron Artest documentary too. Heard that was off the chain, but they touched on all that. So, that was a good documentary. I mean, that was a good little YouTube situation to look at. But as far as sports being gone, like I said, we just kind of exploring what we can, man.
So last week we discussed what sport would you like to see, what activity would you like to see played as a sport, like on ESPN, whatever. I know we brought up shin kicking.
I saw that,
slap contest.
I wanted to see freeze tag. Who gonna hold their position?
Yeah,
gonna be honest. Who gonna do Olympic style with a referee play freeze tag or red light, green light?
Ooh.
Freeze tag.
Freeze
Everybody
tag.
ready for that?
Not with a ref. Like you can't. Bruh. You get that itch and twitch a little out. You done.
Hey, what about Simon Says?
Simon Says. That's another good one. Tetherball. Get like some 7-footers playing tetherball. It is dangerous. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Red Rover.
Man. Woo! I want who was in there? Javon Curse. I want to bring Javon over. You know that old commercial? Yeah, Javon Curse doing Red Rover.
And for those who went to my grade school to Gateway Christian,
yep.
I'm not sure if you was there at the time, but we used to play Metro. Remember that game? So, it was like a dodgeball, but you had two teams.
Yeah.
And then you had
I know the name of it.
You know, the person in the back had on like a yellow.
I remember that. I bust my shin on a little heater at the end, a little white heater that was at the corner of the gym. We used to play Steal the Bacon, and then I ain't know the name of it.
Yeah, so we called it Metro. They maybe called it something else.
Yeah, when I was in the 5th grade, I busted my leg on a heater playing the game.
Yeah, so it was pretty much the team that was able to play dodgeball style and try to hit the person that had the red or yellow pullover on.
Now, didn't they have the balls at half court?
Yeah.
You had to race to get them? Yeah. That was dope, man. I love that game. Yeah. I remember it now, yeah.
So, shout out to once again to all the people who's watching the show, man. Appreciate the love.
Facts.
We know there ain't a lot of sports. There aren't no sports going on right now, but we still keeping it funky.
Trying to, man. We doing our thing, man.
Stand on the line. I thought I heard him. I thought I heard a turn signal. Were you driving?
Oh, no. I am in the car.
I thought I heard a turn signal at first.
Right. He in the car, so he getting his pliers on him.
Baby.
He pliers with every video in the car.
What y'all are hearing is me heavily enthralled in this round of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on my Nintendo Switch. Also, while talking great sports with my brother.
Gotcha.
Well, right there, because it ain't no sports to talk about. Hey, but aggressive freeze tag like that?
You with me on that one?
You feel him?
you got the vision that I got with it.
Hey, we're getting money to watch that.
Hey, I wonder if somebody can go to the Hall of Fame for being it. This dude was it for like 3 weeks. Dude like tag for like a long time.
The reigning defending.
The dude was it. Like I'm still it from when I was 12. Just so y'all know, I've been it for like half my life, man. Still it.
Still lit.
I'm it, dog.
You ain't lit. You it.
I'm it. Game of tag, huh?
Yeah, what I'm saying, a legendary game of tag, and whoever be it for the longest, they go to the Hall of Fame.
Are there any other, outside, of course, of our sports talk show, but other podcasts or shows that really interest you right now?
Hell yeah, Knuckleheads with Q Rich and D Miles. Yeah. Shout out to D Miles, always putting on for the home team, man. But that's probably, like I said, Drink Champs and Players Tribune featuring Knuckleheads. My 2 favorite podcasts. Mm-hmm. You know, I watch them all the time.
Hey, so, Netflix. If y'all watching,
holla at us.
Holla at us, man. I'm putting it out there.
Netflix.
We got some good footage.
Yes, we do.
So they need to holla at us, man.
Great interviews, and for those who are looking forward to Anthony Stalter from 101 ESPN, he'll be joining us around the 8 o'clock hour via phone.
Yep.
Look forward to hearing his story, getting to get a little personal.
Yeah.
You know how we do it now.
Yes, sir. We got to.
Got to dig in.
We're gonna keep it a buck with him. You already know.
Buck. So we're gonna go ahead and switch things up. We normally do these normally at the end of the show, but we're gonna do a little switcheroo and get started with it now. So does anyone have a congrats? You were right.
Whoever said the coronavirus was as serious as it is, congrats, you was right. We believe. Right. And when this nation shut down, the money, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you follow the scripture, God gonna always take away what you worship. You know what I'm saying? These athletes we worshiping, they not doing nothing. This money we worship is shutting down. You know what I'm saying? Concentrate on what's more important in your life. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, congrats, you was right to God. And everybody that said this pandemic was as serious as it is, that's what my congrats, you was right is.
Stan, you got anything?
I have not a thing.
I have nothing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one here. Let me put this back here on the screen. All right, so is this your leader? So I got a good one. Hopefully y'all like it.
Yeah.
These are two dominant defensive players in the game of football. Who would you feel would be the better leader? I have a feeling who y'all might say, but let's see. Aaron Donald or J.J. Watt?
Aaron Donald for sure.
Leadership.
Oh, leadership. J.J. Watt. Because of not only what he do on the field, what he do off the field. So I'm gonna go with J.J.
Stan, what you think?
Definitely got to go J.J. Watt. Even though, and we can only do that based off of what we've seen him do. Because, when everything happened in Houston with with Hurricane Harvey, he hopped on it. He was like, hey, man, we need help. He enlisted all the help he could get, and I think he tripled or he made his goal a couple times over.
Mm-hmm.
When he was raising the money for the Houston song,
Mm-hmm. Nah, you're right,
so
and that's what I'm gonna go with, yeah. Because, like I said, with what he do off the field, especially, but even what he do on the field, but his community activism, whatever you want to call it, his activity in the community.
You had to write the activism.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna go with. No disrespect to Aaron Donald with what he do, but like you said, J.J. Watt and his brothers. You know what I'm saying? So.
All right, Stan, you got something? Something for the people?
Right now, if you had to pick a quarterback to start your new chapter of your franchise, would you take Nick Foles or Jacoby Brissett?
Right now?
Right now.
To me, I'd about to go with the sure thing. Someone who's won, who was an MVP in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but how much he got left in the tank?
And he said right now.
That's what I'm saying. Right now.
Take advantage of the moment.
Yeah, but Nick Foles might be out halfway through the season. So that's why it's tough for me. I mean, his resume speaks for itself, and he money in the fourth quarter. Like, the dude got ice in his veins. But Jacoby got a bigger upside to me.
But he faded away, though, last year. He
started
off great, but there was like once teams started to really...
That's one season, though, yeah.
Once teams started to really hone in on him, they made those adjustments. And that's going to be the mark of how great you really are, is when teams know how you are and they scout you, how can you adjust?
True. But I'm looking at his upside. If he get the right coach to get him to adjust to that, the right team to help him out with that. You know what I'm saying? So, that being said, I'm still going Nick Foles.
I'm trying,
but yeah, I'm still going Nick Foles. I'm trying to disagree and make it more interesting, but nah, can't do it.
Who you got, Stan?
He's
like, oh.
So I went with Jacoby, man.
You gonna roll with Jacoby Brisket? Okay.
I went with the brisket.
Mm-hmm.
Going with the brisket. Yeah. Nah, I see why.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay, then.
What kind of cheap ass joke was that? Good God.
I'm gonna go. Dang, I want to go with this. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. College center, strictly college. Which one would you pick? Marcus Camby or Tim Duncan?
Strictly college.
Strictly college. No pro at all. Strictly they years in college.
I feel like you're gonna pick Camby because you keep saying that.
Because people don't remember how dominant he was, bro.
A beast. And he played during that time. Marcus Camby played with UMass.
Yep.
He was in the same division as Slew was.
Yep.
And those games there, boy.
Hard to watch.
My God.
That dude was swatting everything. That's when Calipari got on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But don't disrespect what Tim Duncan brought too, though.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He just wasn't like a highlight reel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He wasn't a guy you're gonna see on ESPN.
But he was equally dominant though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or even you could throw in the mix Rasheed Wallace. You know, he went 2 years.
Man, hey, I used to love watching Rasheed Wallace.
In college? Oh, my God.
Him, Antoine Jameson. Yep. Oh, my God.
Stackhouse. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
That's
VC. All them, yeah.
Oh, what was my boy's
Because the other thing I was going to say was Ed Cota and Randolph Childress as far as point guards in college. But a lot of people don't remember Ed Cota. You know what I'm saying? So.
All right. So, to answer your question, I'm going to still stick with Tim Duncan.
Okay.
What about you, Stan?
I'm going Tim Duncan. I'm sorry.
Okay. Shout out to Lauren Woods. What up, L? He played with Tim Duncan his freshman year. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He went to Wake.
Oh, snap.
Yep. That's where he started off at. Yeah. Then he ended up at Arizona. That's where everybody know him at. But he was at Wake Forest with Tim Duncan, bro.
Yeah, I think he always had like attitude issues.
Oh my God. We all did, man. That's why I'm like, man. It was hard to watch, but I can understand. You know what I'm saying? He just a passionate player. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to bottle that sometimes. And you know, a lot of people just don't get it, man. Especially where a lot of us came from and what we had to deal with at the time. It was hard to deal with. You know what I'm saying? But he always been like that, especially because Lauren was always the dude that was like a foot taller than everybody. So everybody took cheap shots at him and talked about him bad, and just try to get under his skin. You know what I'm saying? So. You got to understand him, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, he definitely played with Tim Duncan, though.
But just going back to those old Carolina days.
Man.
Yeah, like you said, man, that team with Rasheed Wallace and them.
Even Donald Williams, man, one of the best shooters I've seen in college.
Didn't Brendan Haywood play with them, too?
Yep. Brendan Haywood played with Antoine Jameson in VC.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Jeff McGinnis and
Rashard McCants.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Rashard McCants showed out in that Final Four they came here, man. They showed their game the other day against Michigan State.
And speaking of which, shouts out to all the networks, the ESPNs and
Fox.
All them who's showing them old classic games.
Yep.
I was watching NBA TV the other day. They were showing like the old Lakers and Celtics game, Magic and Bird.
Yeah, the one game they showed without LeBron.
And then they showed I think it was 2006 NBA Finals, the one with the Boston Celtics beat the Lakers for the first, the Kevin Garnett and them beat Kobe.
Yeah, no, that was 2000.
Right.
7 or 8. That was 2007 or 8. 2008. Yeah, that was 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just showing those games like that, they were showing like old high school dunk competitions.
Oh my God. Shout out to Walt, man. He posted, man, I was at that moment when the McDonald's All-American game was here. I was a freshman in high school. Mm-hmm. And Paul Pierce, go Google it.
Dude, what the hell is he doing?
Oh my God.
I'm like, why is he even trying to even...
Bruh. If y'all want a good laugh, first of all, Paul Pierce got a lot of them YouTube. But if you go Google the 1995 McDonald's All-American Slam Dunk Contest, go look at Paul Pierce's performance. And the crazy thing about it is, a lot of people don't know because they weren't there. I was at the game. Paul Pierce, I think he beat Michael Jordan's record, or he was about to when they took him out of the game. Paul Pierce giving them buckets. He had 30.
He was the truth.
Oh, yeah. This was up until nobody other than Michael Jordan had 30 in the McDonald's All-American game. Yeah. Paul Pierce was giving them that money, though. But that dunk contest,
it was exact opposite.
Tragic.
Like, what are you trying to do, bro?
He put on some, sorry, L, he put on some Larry Hughes type vibe. Straight up.
Was that the same one that Vince Carter was in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Larry only completion was a regular alley-oop. From AI.
No.
Off the glass.
No.
All the rest of them, through piece. He missed everything, bro.
I hope to have Larry Hughes on the show, man.
Yeah, we're going to work on that.
Yeah.
Shout out to L, man. That's my boy right there, man. But man. It was kind of like that type of situation.
Tono Wilson sent me a text saying, y'all got the sanitizer on deck. Damn right.
Hell yeah.
We are promoting the safety.
I wipe my mic down for the thing, so we not playing no games.
No, we ain't got time.
Yeah, man, straight up.
So it's shining bright like the Blues champagne bottle.
Man,
right
straight up.
We shining bright.
Yes,
we
sir.
Shining bright. Once again, Stan is on the line, and pretty soon we will have a one-on-one ESPN Anthony Stalter.
Yep.
Look forward to a nice conversation with him. I know it has to be hard for radio stations right now for networks like the First Takes and
They all at home.
Well, not First Take.
Well, not First Take,
no.
but
Actually, it could be some are at home.
most of them.
Yeah,
Dan Lebatard, Colin Hurd, what's on Skip and Shannon.
Right.
What's the one with Bomani Jones and
they got canned.
did they?
Yes. Highly questionable.
Yeah. No, that's Dan Lebatard.
No, you're right.
I can't think of the name of it.
Dan Lebatard and the other dude.
Nah, you talking about Bomani Jones and
Bomani Jones and
it start with a P.
Pablo Torres.
Pablo Torres.
That show got canceled.
Wow.
They said like after April that show will be gone.
Man.
Talking about do the ratings.
I mean, it's the time though. The time of day that it airs too though, because they can show up at I think 1 o'clock, just like the NBA Jump. I'm like, why do they show that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Let me see. Bomani Jones and Pablo Torres. What's that show called, real quick? The Power of High Noon.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yo, High Noon got trapped.
Yes.
That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
Western in the background when they ask a question.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man, that's messed up. I seen Marcellus Wiley yesterday talking about going to work. He had his drawers on and a button-up shirt, and he had to walk across the pool into his little tent over there, do his, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause they working from home.
Right.
He's like morning commute. So. But yeah, man, that's messed up, bro.
All right, up next we got Bruh, You Tripping. So we got something hot for us.
Hey man, when the NBA season come back, I don't know. I ain't got nothing.
Hey, to add on to that, hold on. Add on to that because mine was going to be, I don't see an NBA season coming back this year.
I mean, you ain't tripping.
I don't know.
But going back to what I was gonna say earlier, see, Adam Silver got a good trump card with him being the first person to pull the plug on his league. So if he forces it back fast, ain't nobody gonna be so quick to give him the backlash.
I just like that he's so innovative and proactive.
Oh yeah, he the best. Well, I don't want to say the best.
Yeah, he is right now.
He more personal to me.
In regards to all
players.
4 major sports, he's the best.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the NBA. I'm talking about as far as him and David Stern.
Got you.
But, he was bred by David Stern. And David Stern and Adam Silver got two different type of personalities. David Stern did a lot of stuff that wasn't as public. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to undermine his genius behind the NBA. But Adam Silver definitely seemed like he got more bravado with him as far as I'm standing up for my players. Y'all got us messed up. You know what I'm saying? I got these guys. I'm going to take care of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him for that. But because of that, I feel like he has the ultimate trump card to be the first first major sport to come back. And for that reason, especially because they could take it all the way to the summer, like you said. I feel like they still gonna have a season. It's just gonna be later on in the year, and they probably have to start late next season.
All right. And Anthony Stalter is ready.
Yes, sir.
All right. So do me a favor, B. Hold on tight. Just put your phone on mute for a minute. Put that on mute. I'm sorry. Go to.
You want to put a button down?
Yeah. Go to number 5 and turn it all the way down. Right here. Turn it all the way down.
Yeah.
Right here. Just turn it all the way down. All right. We're gonna go ahead and get Anthony Stalter on the line. Give us 1 minute here, people. This is live TV.
Turn your radio down.
This is how it goes sometimes. Let's go ahead and get them added on. All right. Let's get this party started.
Let's get this thing started swiftly.
All right. And go ahead and turn up the volume for me, B. Baker.
Turn up the volume. Turn
All
up the
right.
volume. Turn up the volume.
Once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. I am your boy Smooth along with
B. Baker.
And we also have
Baby.
And we have special guests. It's an honor to have this man on the show.
Yes.
1-on-1 ESPN. Starlton Rivers midday show from 10 to 2. I'm doing the plug. I need my residual on this, Anthony Stalter. How you doing, man?
Boys, I'm doing good.
What's up, man?
You hear me and everything?
Yes, sir.
We hear you perfectly, man. Thanks once again for being part of this show.
Dude, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. You guys all right tonight?
Yeah, man. Everything good. Appreciate it, man. How's everything going on your end?
Well, for the most part, good. Relatively speaking, with the world's going through right now. But we're certainly better off than most here, and hopefully everybody's staying healthy and dealing with it the best they can.
Yep.
And with that being said, how are you trying to handle or cope with things at the station, trying to keep things going every day? We have this show every Wednesday, but in regards to every day, Monday to Friday, having to come up with a nice set list for the show to get keep everything flowing. How are y'all handling that situation right now?
Yeah, relatively speaking, right? Like let's be real. We're not dealing with what our nurses and what our doctors and what our healthcare providers are dealing with right now, and certainly leaders trying to lead us out of what could be a bad economic situation. But for us, yeah, no sports, man. It's been tough, and in St. Louis, obviously not everybody loves the NFL, and rightfully so, and I get that, but the NFL has kind of been the only thing right now that's active that you can talk about daily. So without any Blues and Cardinals, it's a challenge to come up with something every day. But it also gives us a freedom to kind of talk about other things that we might be into. I mean, Jamie and I both have kids, so that's been a trip. Like my wife works from home right now because of the pandemic going on, and she's been watching the kids until I get home about 2:30 or so. Then I take over. So trying to find something for the kids to do while keeping my sanity has been a little tough. But from a work standpoint, we kind of just blend our lives into the show more now, and I think it's a little bit more acceptable. If I get on a tangent about, I got a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, so you guys can imagine how.
Yeah, I saw your son just had a birthday, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So, to kind of weave in some funny stories about my family or my life, it's good to do that, and I think it allows listeners to get to know us a little bit more. That person, we can show our personality a little bit, as opposed to constantly breaking down, why everybody thinks John Mozeliak's an idiot, or the lineup's poor or whatever. I mean, to do that day in and day out, it for the most part right now, it's been a fun challenge. Now, talk to me in a month, gentlemen. Yeah. When there's no sports in a month, and we're doing this, and I'm running out of funny kid stories, that could be a little tricky. But it is what it is.
Yep.
Once again, everyone watching, we have Anthony Stalter from Stalter and Rivers. It's once again an honor to have you on the show. Stan, how you doing over there so far, man? You good?
I'm doing good. Just over here chilling. Getting a little dark out here.
You don't say.
they gonna have people looking at him like, what's he doing in his car?
Oh yeah, he like the creep.
Nah, all my neighbors are old retired folks.
That make it worse.
In the house. Are you broadcasting from your car?
He is.
I'm just on the phone.
He ain't trying to have the
via phone.
Yeah, he's broadcasting from his car right now, Stalter.
Yes.
Nice. Hey, do what you got to do, right? The show's got to go on. I love that you guys are still doing the show. I mean, when I was going back and forth with you, Smooth, I'm like, listen, I can come on another time. We could do this web, but you guys are pushing forward. I got a lot of respect for you guys.
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And as you said, we will have you back. We will have you on the show in person.
Yeah.
Once sports are back up and running.
Can't wait, man.
We definitely would lock you in for another date.
Yes, sir.
As well. So.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to.
Definitely. So for the people who may not know about yourself, I always ask a lot of my guests this first question. Just tell us about when did you find your love for sports?
Wow. Very young age. So I grew up in the, and I'll answer the question that everybody's going to have in a second here. But I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. And no, I'm not coming. No.
Cook County.
Right now.
Cook County.
Can't really go. That's the question that always follows up. And in fact, when I was growing up, I was actually a Will Clark fan. I loved Will Clark.
Okay.
I thought he had the best left-handed swing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was a Giants fan, and the Giants crushed the Cubs in the '89 NLCS. So I always kind of follow that up when I'm in St. Louis. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're not a Cubs fan." No, I actually like the Giants because they just drummed the Cubs in '89.
Yeah.
So, growing up in Chicago, certainly my dad took me to a lot of certainly Cubs games and White Sox games, but, going to the United Center and watching Jordan play and watching just the intro. I always remember the intro for the Bulls.
Oh yeah, the Bulls in the streets, and that's crazy.
That's the best intro I've ever seen in any sports arena form, whatever.
That's funny you brought that up because I'm playing it at my wedding.
Yeah, good for you.
Straight up, I'm playing it at my wedding.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so
that used to be my ringtone.
Man.
Really? Yeah. So you guys know. Yeah. So growing up in Chicago, when my dad took me to either Wrigley Field or back then it was Comiskey or the United Center. I mean, that to me is when I really fell in love with it. And for some strange reason, my first love was walking through any baseball stadium, whatever it may be. And you guys know how it is, even at like Busch Stadium, you walk through and you got the vendors, and then the field opens up a little bit, and you see a little bit of the field, and then you walk and you got the vendors, and then you get to the next section, you can see a little bit more of the field. When I was a little kid, that was always the best part to me, where you're anticipating walking to your seat and being able to see that field for the first time. That is where my love for sports grew, and I haven't stopped since.
Yeah, you got to step on them peanut shells on the way to that seat. That's what make it official.
And you brought up Chicago. So outside of the Bulls, were you a fan of the Cubs and White Sox, like a huge fan?
It's one or the other.
Or like what B. Baker said, one or the other?
Yeah, no, I didn't like any of the baseball teams in Chicago. Like I said, I grew up a Giants fan. Yeah.
Good for you, man.
If anything, I actually like the White Sox a little bit more than the Cubs because
there you go.
I've always been an underdog fan. In Chicago, it's certainly when the Bulls are running good, and they haven't run good in a while, but it was the Bulls, the Cubs, certainly the Bears. The Bears are number one in Chicago.
Yep.
And then the White Sox were always like dead last. These poor dudes won the World Series in 2005, and nobody said anything. It was like, hey, when are the Cubs going to make the playoffs? Like that's how it is in Chicago. So if anything, I probably lean more toward the White Sox. But I got to be honest, I always just loved the different styles of play, regardless of what sport it was. I loved that there was a team in Seattle and a team in Chicago, New York, and Boston, Texas, Florida. I love that there were so many different teams with different colors and different logos and different coaches and players that I just fell in love with the leagues as a whole. So it just kind of it was organic, but it was something that has certainly led me to a good career path because I love sports in general.
Which leads to now, when I first heard your name on 101 ESPN, please correct me if I'm wrong, but were you the producer of the Fast Lane?
Yeah, you got a good memory. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, tell us about that experience and what made you start off as a producer.
So I went to Central Michigan University to study journalism and broadcasting, but it actually started in high school, and I wasn't a very good student. I'll fully admit that right now. My parents will, we'll get my parents on the line a little bit later on, guys. I'll tell you, I'm not a good student. I wasn't a good student.
I might have to call my mom to have a check in with that one too to verify that mine wasn't as good as well.
Yeah, exactly.
2.0.
So, yeah, I mean, I won't tell some of the stories, but anyway, so I wasn't good in high school. I wasn't a good student in high school, but I love sports. But I always thought I'd join the military. I sat down with every brand. You too?
Yep, I wanted to go to the Navy really bad. My mom would not allow it though.
There you go. So you get that aspect of it. I sat down, I think, with the Army. I sat down with the Marines, and I was like, look, this is kind of my path.
Yeah.
And my buddy Rob had a little cable. You guys seen Wayne's World, right?
Oh yeah.
Party time. Excellent.
Shout out to Garth.
There you go. Game on. Game off.
Right. Car.
So my buddy Rob had a small sports show that he was doing on cable access, kind of like Wayne.
Yeah, in the basement.
And so he's like, hey, why don't you come on and just talk about sports. I'm like, all right, cool. So I did a couple of those shows with him, and we're talking about, like, literally him and I, no idea what the hell we're talking about, but we got a camera on us, and we're in this little studio. But I fell in love with it. I'm like, if I can get paid to do this, I'm in, right? So my parents were they were more excited about that than me, joining. My dad was in the Army, but my parents were thinking about, like, all right, you go into the military, you with a gun and a helmet, we don't think so, right? Yep. So this is a much better path. So I went to, I got into Central Michigan, which I absolutely love. I love the campus, love the college. And I studied journalism, I studied broadcasting, and just put in the work. And, there's a lot of late nights at, whether it's the TV studio or the radio studio, and I just busted my rear end to try to do everything I could. I wound up broadcasting baseball and softball games as a play-by-play guy for a little bit. I just completely dove into it. So coming out of college, tough to find jobs, but I sent all my resumes down to Detroit and couldn't get anything. I worked for Best Buy. I sold appliances.
Wow.
So,
okay.
yeah, so if you guys need any, like, what dryer, washer, refrigerator advice, just
I need a new dryer right now.
You need a new dryer? Okay.
Let me know. Right, there you go.
Front loaders are going to be a little bit more expensive, but trust me, in the long run, the efficiency
That's the one I need. Yeah. Now, which way does it open, left or right, so I know exactly where to position next to my washing machine, because I don't want the doors to bump.
There you go. There you go. So, yeah, I sold appliances for Best Buy for a while.
Okay.
Went over to Circuit City. I was selling computers and digital cameras for a while. Like, I just couldn't get into the industry. It was that tough.
Yeah.
I repoed cars for Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Oh, wow. You a thug.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You a thug.
That's a fun job.
Yeah.
Dude. I heard from them.
Oh, my God.
Think about repoing cars in Detroit.
Oh, so all right,
so let me ask you, have you ever killed knowledge player?
All right, how many times?
Nah, because I want to know.
Right. You got bodies on this?
Right. All right, so Stalter, how many times while you was repoing the car were you threatened with the gun?
Guy shot at the gas cap one time.
Wow.
He was telling me, he was like, look, we always showed up in pairs, and we always showed up in, like, the best looking like SUV that we could.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought maybe that'd be, like, I don't know, the feds were coming in or something. We tried to make it look as official as possible, but for some stupid reason, we always had to collect the keys. Like, we always had a spare set.
Yeah.
I don't know why we just didn't get in the damn car and go.
Yeah.
But we always had to ask for the keys. And of course, these people, like, they have kept a rental car, so they don't care if somebody's knocking on their door. Like, these people realize that they're in much bigger trouble, and they really don't care.
Right.
So one time I knocked on the guy's door, because we always swapped off. One guy waits in the car, the other guy goes to the door. So that was my turn to go to the door. So I knock on the door, and this is like downtown Motown, right? This is D-Town. So I'm knocking on the door. Guy comes out, and I go, "Hey, I got to take the rental car. You haven't paid, whatever." And he goes, "All right." He goes, "You take that car, I'm gonna shoot at it." And I am a 23-year-old kid. Like this, I am not prepared for this.
Right.
So I just looked at him. I go, and somehow I have no idea. This is like pure fear. Somehow this came out of my mouth. I'm like, "Hey, bro, you got to do what you got to do."
Oh man!
I hop in the. It was just pure stupidity, gentlemen. So I hop in the car.
He asking for it.
I got the rental car.
Okay.
I hop in. I look over, and he's walking out of the car. And I'm like, "Oh crap!" Or I'm sorry, he's walking out of the house, not the car. He's walking out of the house. And I'm like, "There's no way he's gonna shoot at me." So loud bang, firecracker bang, and I could hear he hit like the trunk. I mean, he told me he was going to shoot at like the trunk, right? He nailed it. Guy must have been practicing. So I fire up the car as quickly as possible and just got the hell out of there. But I think that might have been my last day, to be honest.
Yeah, I would have been mine too.
Yeah, I'm like, I ain't doing this anymore. I went back to the branch office there, and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I'm quit." And Enterprise is a great company. I mean, it really is. But I was like, "Hey, I ain't doing this anymore." So yeah, did that for a little while, and long story short, wound up getting hired as kind of like a street teamer. We call them at 101. We call them street teamers. You know, the people that drive in the vehicles, station vehicles.
Yep.
Yeah, going out to bars and stuff like that, and passing out free T-shirt and just you know doing kind of the fun stuff, making no money.
Right. Working. I did the same thing before.
You know, it's working at Circuit City during the day.
Circuit City.
At that point.
Radio Shack.
Yeah, you guys remember?
Yeah. I used to work at both of those. Yep, I did both of those too.
I had some jobs, that's for sure.
Yeah, me too.
I've been around.
Yeah, straight up.
Been around.
So, do you envy the people that are doing those repo shows right now? Is that? Do you ever watch any of those?
No, I don't want those nightmares to come back. I can't watch those.
Got PTSD.
Beach Toe is the one to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask about that, but he got PTSD, so we're gonna let it go.
What channel are they on?
Like
Spike,
TLC, something like that.
Yeah, but mostly on Spike.
Spike. Definitely Spike.
Yeah, Spike TV. Check it out.
Maybe I'll check it out.
I mean, ain't no sports right now. You might as well just start dabbling around.
There's no sport exactly. There's no sports right now. So maybe I'll check it out.
And you got a 2 and a 3-year-old at home. You gonna need a release, man.
Yeah, well, I had them working outside today as best as possible.
There you go. It was good weather.
My daughter stops me every 2 seconds. She's like, you know, Daddy, can I get the shovel? So I start doing something. Daddy, can I put my gloves on? I'm like, They're good. They're good kids.
Yeah. Man.
But anyway, so I'll speed up the story a little bit. But I was doing street team work at night. I was working at Circuit City during the day, and the people at Circuit City were great. They were. I would come in a little bit earlier. I'd count inventory just so I can get out of there at a decent time to go to the station. And on my off days, if I had off day at Circuit City, I'd go down to the station and I'd learn. Fortunately enough, the state radio station I worked for in Detroit, WDFN, the people there were incredible. Like they were more than willing to mentor people that were interested and mentor people that really wanted to be in the industry and weren't all about, hey, am I going to be on air in an hour? Because that's all anybody wants to do is be on air, of course.
Right.
But I was really truly interested in listening to the producers and the board operators and things like that. So I learned that job during the off days that I had and just grinded it out. I probably did that for, a year and a half or so. And then one of the lead producers called me one day and said, we don't have anybody to do Sunday night baseball. So can you produce Sunday night baseball? And guys, I was there, 7 o'clock at night, nobody else in the station, and I was running the Sunday night baseball games from the studio, and that was kind of my first big, I wouldn't call it a break, but an opportunity.
Right.
And
baseball.
Yeah. So from there, I think I did some updates. I was an update guy for a little while, and then the station wound up kind of letting everybody go because it was just an unfortunate situation. They had to let a bunch of good people go, so wound up making my way back home to Chicago for a little bit, and I was writing for any job that I can get, any sports writing job I can get. Wound up I was doing a long distance thing with my now wife Kristen, and she moved back from Boston. She was working for AB. She was in Boston, then she moved back home to St. Louis.
Okay.
And our relationship grew and grew, and she's looking at me like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing? You gonna come down here, or I might go up there?" So I wound up moving to St. Louis. I applied for the Fast Lane job, got it. Was the Fast Lane producer for about a year and a half, and during that time, I worked with I don't know if you guys remember Tony Softly.
Yes, I do.
But yeah, so I was doing a Sunday show with Tony Softly, and wound up working my way and got on air. And my first big break was with the late great Chris Duncan, and him and I did the turn. And now Jamie and I got a show. So that's kind of long and short of it. And hope I didn't bore you guys in the process.
No, you good, man. The thing I took away from that is your long distance relationship work. That's hard. The long distance relationship work.
Yeah,
that is very hard to pull off. So kudos to y'all for making that happen, man. Congratulations, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, what I took away,
she's tremendous.
Now, what I took away from his story was he went to him and his wife lived in some rival places.
They did.
Chicago
Chicago
and Boston.
And Detroit.
Yep. And Detroit, too.
And Detroit,
Right,
yeah.
Detroit,
right.
Boston, too. Yep.
So, yeah, y'all had a nice little choice of hometown.
Yeah, all the cities we hate. Congratulations.
Yes,
she was, and she loved the Celtics. She loved like Kevin Garnett and what was the team? Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. Yep, that was the team, right? So she loved them, and we were the flagship station of the Pistons. So I was like the on-site producer a lot of times for the Pistons. I'd go in and I'd go get sound from those guys, and that was the team. I mean, that was Ben Wallace. That was Rasheed.
I was going to ask you what year this was. Yeah, championship pick.
Yeah, that was what 04,
Yep,
04 to 7 or I covered the Palace at the Malice.
Oh, wow. Please explain.
Oh, yeah, we got to, hold on, let me get comfortable. I got to hear this.
Dude, please give us a nice little play-by-play or a vibe of what went, well, we know what went down, but just give us the vibe of just being there and seeing what happened.
So, you know the one guy that was like throwing beers at the players at one point?
Uh-huh.
That was me.
Oh, they got to find the video.
Stop playing, man. You got to go viral.
They're going to find the video.
Right. We got him.
I'm joking. I was just sitting there like, wait, what?
I wasn't even going to take that one. I'm not going to get that excited because I was like, man.
Breaking news on.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way we got that lucky.
No, I'm joking. Whoever did that, like, that's just idiotic, right? Like, that's just stupid. The players never should have went in the stands, but that's just, if you're a fan, buying a ticket, if I go on a small arena, buying a ticket doesn't allow you the right to go out there and do whatever you want with the players. Like, come on. That's just, it's stupid. But I was on the opposite side. The media row was there, and then, like, kind of, like, I was a small-time employee for the station. So we kind of sat media row, but all the way down to the left on one of the baskets.
Right.
It happened on the other side. So for me, it was just a lot of confusion. You could sense something was happening. You could sense the players were kind of squawking at the fans, but you kind of saw that. Like that Pistons team, as you guys probably remember. I mean, that was a badass Pistons.
I love that team.
And it wasn't anything for them, for Sheed or for Ben Wallace to kind of be, squawking with other players.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a chippy team.
The thing I know the most is how hard Ben Wallace pressed Ron Artest and made him go lay down on the table.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm thinking about your positioning. You said you were at the baseline on the left, so that means you were right directly across from the Pacers bench, correct?
I was down. Yes, I was right by.
So you saw I
was right next to the Pistons bench.
Oh, the Pistons bench. Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember
the Pacers.
They went on the other end.
They went in on the Pacers side, right? They
That's what I meant. Yeah, the Pacers side, they were punching ball boys and everything else. They were getting it in on that end.
Oh, yeah, they were trying to make sure everybody felt they right.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I was on the opposite side.
Okay, got you.
So it was a lot of confusion, and then the next thing you know, the players are going up into the stands.
Yep.
And from my vantage point, I try to, you try to stand up. It's human nature to stand up and look to see what was going on. And I wish I could spin a good story for you guys. It was hard to see anything. So a lot of what I saw was going home and watching it all like everybody else on video to know exactly what happened. But at that point, that was what was it? 04, 05, something like that. So
what year was it? That had to be like 06.
It was probably mid 2000.
Yeah, because 04 and 05 they went to the finals. The season after that, nobody played because they got big suspensions after that. Yeah.
So I can't remember. Maybe it was a little. Maybe it was a shade earlier than what I remember.
2004.
Okay.
04. There you go. So that was my first year at the radio station.
Let's see.
04. So
I'm looking at a video. I think I see Stalter right there.
Definitely won't see me. I was on the other side.
So that catapulted the Pistons to win the championship then.
Yes. Yeah, I think 04 they lost to the Spurs in 04, right? Or 03. They lost to the Spurs. Robert Horry hit one.
Yeah, I remember Robert Horry went crazy, man. He dunked handed with a bad shoulder and hit the three on Rasheed. Didn't go out the inbounder. He did the Cardinal scene.
He was incredible.
Yeah, he was.
He was. I wish so badly we had a basketball team. Never did I have more appreciation for the game of basketball than to sit, right by kind of the bench there. And I'll tell you the guy that like impressed me more than anything, more than any other player, was a guy we just mentioned, was Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett was both sides, offense, defense. I thought he was one of the best players I've ever seen live and up close.
Man, I seen him in high school when they came here, and the first time, they had a preseason game here against Cleveland Cavaliers, and he punched Clifford Rozier in the face, and the refs was even scared to even do something to him. Like, he's just that intense, man. But he played against Fred's high school team here at here in St. Louis. So yeah,
he was a bad dude, as you guys know.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the guy that I appreciate. Another guy too, and you guys are probably gonna laugh at this, but another guy I thought was so much better live than what I ever saw in person. Not he's superstar any of that stuff. Just talking about from my own vantage point. Carlos Boozer played the game hard too.
Yeah, he did.
Mr. Hairline.
Hairline, yeah. Carlos Boozer strikes me up because he actually played left-handed.
That one was Carlos Low.
That's what he's known for.
Mr. Hairline.
Yeah, he was. He got the big deal in Chicago, and I just, a lot of people think he's overrated or whatever. But to me, he played hard.
So did you see him when he had the spray on hair? That's what we talking about.
Yeah, he was. I think he was with the Jazz still.
No, he was with the Bulls. He was with the Bulls when he first did. Yeah, he sure was.
In 04, I would have saw him 04, 05. I thought he was still with the Jazz.
He was not with the Bulls in 04.
He started off with the Bulls.
He didn't come to the Bulls.
The Jazz was before that, yeah.
Yeah, that was like 08, 09. I thought he went to the Bulls.
Yeah, see, that's all Bulls uniforms. He got the eyebrows arched, and he had the spray on hair.
I'm showing B the photo of his spray on hair with the Bulls right now.
I know vividly. Trust me, I know more than anybody because I was like looking at the game and I was like, hold up, man, is something wrong with my screen?
When I come on live with you guys, we should just have Carlos Boozer on in the background.
There it is.
Let's do it, man.
We got you covered.
Man.
So going back real quick to producing, because we had Austin Huff on the show about a month back.
My guy.
Yeah, good dude.
Man.
Great dude. Funny, man.
That's my boy, man. Shout out to Austin.
He's a natural.
This dude had me cranking up at the Battle Hawks.
He could be watching right now, by the way. So if y'all Austin, shouts out to you, man.
Sir.
I hate that we're not working together anymore. Him and I worked together very closely just for a short period of time. He was our producer when we first started off. And I'll tell you what, nobody works harder than that guy. I've seen it up close, and he's a total grinder. And he obviously, I watched a little bit of your show with him, and he told you the Rome stuff, and he's just a really good guy.
Yeah, he is very solid. Tell us about your experience being a producer with the Fast Lane. I have 2 photos with the Fast Lane, and I was at Rams Park. One was with Rammer, Character, and Farr, and then the second one was with the late Chris Duncan, Farr, and Character. So just tell us about your experience producing that show at that time with those gentlemen.
Yeah, that's a good question because so when I moved down to St. Louis, again, my wife now, Kristen, her and I were dating, and her and I were. She had purchased a condo that really needed a lot of work, right? Like it was her first home purchase was a condo. So I would actually listen to the Fast Lane as I was like helping them work on the condo, right? So I'd do like drywalling stuff and listening to. At the time, it was Randy, Rammer, and DeMarco. So I had an idea that was like the big show here in St. Louis. That was the afternoon drive time show. But when I applied, they didn't post what show it was. It was just a producer's job, right? And I need a job. I've got some writing gigs that I'm doing, but like it's independent contractor work. It's just if the work is there, great, I'm paid. If not, it's not. So I need a full-time gig. So I interview for the job at 101 with our former program director, Austin Newport, and another former program director, Ken Sterling at the time. This was back in 2011 or 12. It was 2012. So I sit down, I'm interviewing. First interview I thought went well. didn't hear back for a little while. I'm like, okay, well, give him my best shot, right? So they called me back. I think Hoss called me back like a month later and said, hey, we want to bring you in for a second interview. So at that point, they were like, okay, listen, we're going to have you meet the show that that you could be working on. You'll meet with the guys, and if the guys kind of give me the okay, you're our guy. And I'm doing in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm here at this time, so clearly, I think Bernie was on at that point, and I'm like, it's either the morning show, it's the afternoon show. It's either the morning show or the Big Boys, right? Mm-hmm. So of course they lead me in. At this time, Dunk is on the show, so they lead. The program directors lead me into the office, and Randy Carricker's there, DeMarco's there, Dunk's there, and Dunk and Randy are both asked. I mean, they're just great. They're great right away. They're asking questions about my background and things like that. And DeMarco, who I absolutely love. Like DeMarco, just him and I consider DeMarco a good friend, even though we don't. You lose kind of sight. And you don't talk a lot and all that stuff. But DeMarco's really just a tremendous guy. Okay. DeMarco never turned around. Like that was my first instance with DeMarco. He sat there and he was prepping his show and stuff, and every once in a while he'd kind of chime in with something, and I'm like, oh great, here's kind of and I remember DeMarco from the Best Damn Sports Show. You guys remember that show?
Oh yeah, incredible show.
Hell yeah.
Him, Tom,
yeah, man,
yeah, and John Sally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about John Sally.
I remember him from that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh god, this guy's a big deal, and this is not going to go well, and he can turn around, and I'm not going to get this job, and I'm going to be drywalling again in my girlfriend's condo. This is an issue.
Drywall, man.
Yeah. So it went really well, and as it turned out, all three guys liked me, and they gave me a shot. And fortunately, I from listening to the show as much as I did, I knew a lot of their bits and their concepts and the 4 o'clock fight and all that. So it wound up giving me kind of maybe a leg up at that point. And working with those three guys was great. And like I said, he's just he's almost like a big kid. And so, yeah, he's just totally full of life. Mm. And Dunk and I became really close. And when Dunk came down with the tumor, he had to take some time off. Mm. And that's when I had an opportunity. I mean, we're like John Kelly, one of the voices of the blues for Fox Sports in the West. He did a show one time. I think maybe Reed Lowe, former Blue, did a show one time. We were just kind of rolling through some guys. And Dunk actually recommended from Duke, because that's where he got his surgery on his tumor. He recommended Brad Thompson. Okay. I played with this guy. He's funny. He's home from. Brad was still playing at the time in some independent league. Why don't you guys give Brad a shot? So Brad comes in.
Natural. And,
dude, guys, one of the first, I think it was within the first hour. Mm-hmm. And like I said, we're rolling through people. People are coming in. They're either they're trying out or they're just helping fill the void while Dunk is out. And it was still Dunk's chair. It was, Dunk was going to be, when he was healthy enough to return, he was going to return to the fast lane. There was never any question about that. Mm-hmm. But Brad Thompson comes. And first and foremost, I sent him the rundown, and at that point, Dunk and I had become so close. I'll be honest, I was almost whatever. No, nobody's gonna fill that spot. Nobody's gonna do it well, and I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. So I gave Brad the rundown. He was taking notes and things like that. Show starts. I'm dead serious. Within the first hour, it might have even been the first 2 segments, I went into our boss's office. And I said, look, you can fire me right now, but if you put another person on the airway while Dunk is gone, you're an idiot. This guy's a natural, like you guys are saying.
Yeah.
So Brad killed it. He was great. But he was still playing.
Right.
And he had that, he wanted to play. He still wanted to play. So he went back to, I don't know where the hell he was. He was on the East Coast someplace. And Dunk came.
Was it Boston that he played? No, that was.
He was in. I forget the name. Maybe the Blueport Bluefish or something.
Okay.
I mean, Dude, he was one time he was pitching. The starter that night on the other side was Roger Clemens. Like Clemens came back for a game or something, and he faced Clemens. But BT's got he's got some great stories. But he was a natural. But Dunk came back, and Dunk wasn't. He just couldn't handle the 4 hours. I mean, this is somebody that's still undergoing recovery from cancer, and not only cancer but brain cancer. So. Yeah. He came back and he was just maybe doing some hits, maybe he'd come in for half the show, or he just wasn't full time. Well, Bernie, who was doing the midday show at the time, he wanted to go back to the paper full time. He was doing both, and like I don't know how much you guys know of Bernie. Bernie,
I do.
Like, geez, this guy like legitimate genius.
Yeah,
legitimate genius at what he does. But he is so, like, every topic is organic. Every topic that he goes to is just, it's his own research. He's not, my man's not going to ESPN.com and pulling the headline and being like, I'm going to react. No, he is, everything's from scratch, right? So he was kind of burned out. He wanted to just do the paper full time. And that was writing's his first love. So he went back to the paper. Well, now you got a spot in the middays. And I had been doing that show with Tony Soft. On Sundays. So I was kind of getting my reps. St. Louis was getting to know me a little bit. And another radio station called. And I interviewed for another radio station. They're interested in me, like full-time on air. And 101 caught it.
And that led to you hosting.
Right.
I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to lose my producer job. I'm going to have to repo cars in St. Louis. Not good.
Be on Grand somewhere.
I'll be on Grand somewhere.
Don't put the man on Grand.
He go to the worst of the worst. He's going to be on Grand and Blair.
He going to be on Newstead.
Exactly. So I'm like, I got to repo cars in St. Louis.
On Grand and cash. The mix of everything.
Right. Right. My new Visson.
Oh, Lord.
Right down the street.
So yeah, I either got that or maybe I'll start a drywall business, right? Like that was my two options.
Hey man, I'm a fellow drywaller, man. So my hats off to you, man. That's a tough job.
Yeah, drywall sucks.
It sucked, man. I had a DeWalt drill, and it still sucked, man. Like I hate it. I hate cutting and angling, and it's so thin. It sucks, man.
Yeah.
The posts don't act
right. Shout out to
right.
all the drywallers.
Shout out to them. Yes, shout out to the drywallers and the painters, man.
Definitely. But anyways, long story short, and Hoss Newport at the time, he was a program director. He goes, "Hey, listen," he goes, hang tight. I know that you're interviewing. I didn't get the job. I was like second on this list. And this other radio station one was somebody else. But they're like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna come back for you if 101 doesn't put you on air." So the program director, Hoss at the time, he goes, "Hey," he goes, "Dunk, as you know, he can't. The 4 hours is a long time for Dunk right now. So what I'm thinking is, I'm going to pair you two together. And once Bernie goes, and he said, look, he's like, you're not from St. Louis. People aren't going to love that. But I'll never forget this. He's like, for the first year, he goes, just be likable. Like, just be a likable guy. Do your research. Do your homework. Know St. Louis inside and out. Set up Dunk as much as possible and just be likable." He goes, after that first year, then we can kind of unleash the personality a little bit. He goes, "I know it's there, but just hang tight." And that's what I did. I followed those instructions, and Hoss Newport took a really big risk on Dunk and I, But Dunk and I had such good chemistry working in the fast lane and being such close friends that, in hindsight, I knew we had a good show at the time, but in hindsight, not being able to do that show, but listening to a lot of the clips when Dunk passed away, you're like, wow, I'm like, wow, we had something. It was good chemistry, and that was my first big break, and I'll forever be grateful to not only Hoss who put us on air, but Chris Duncan that did so much for my career that I can't even put it into words, gentlemen.
Yeah. And two things, I do want to commend you for how you handled yourself during the time of Chris Duncan's passing, because I know that it was not easy for you at all.
Yeah.
It was a shock when I think, it was the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cardinals playing in Pittsburgh. And I think I was actually doing a DJ gig, and I got an alert. And I'm like, oh, no. Like, you kind of saw it coming. But I ain't thought about you, Stalter, because I know how close you were to him. So I just want to commend you in regards to the job that you've done and for the staff at 101 ESPN for honoring Dunk like the station did during that time being.
I appreciate it. I do. That means a lot to me. That was I'm not gonna mince words, man. I'm still impacted by that. And it's like, Dunk was such a unique guy, and he really he almost sold himself short because he would kind of boil it down to, I'm just a dumb dude that loves baseball. But he was so unique and such a smart, creative guy, and I got to see that on multiple shows and work with him closely. And I tweeted it out the night that he died. I tweeted this out, and I meant every word. And I thought about this because, we all deal with that, and people pass away, and you automatically dump, like, all the great stuff. And that's how it should be, right? Like, people should be celebrated.
Right.
But I don't know how many times Dunk and I fought, like, blow up, fight, arguments. And it was important for me to kind of tell that side of the story as well, because, look, you praise somebody for who they are, but relationships are more than just the good times, like solid relationships. And I'll call Duncan a brother until, the day I pass. Relationships are about fighting, and they're about the turmoil and the adversity as much as the good times, because that was something Dunk taught. I mean, him and I used to fight, and about something stupid too, like some topic on a show. And maybe he wanted to talk more Cardinals, I wanted to talk more Rams at the time, like stupid, trivial crap.
Who?
And I would, right. Whoever that team was, right?
Yeah. No, Kakao.
There used to be a football team here. No longer. Battlehawks. Battlehawks are our team now. But so we used to talk at night, and I used to be like, hey man, sorry I said this, that, and the other thing. And I'll never forget one time he's like, he's like, you know what? He goes, brothers fight.
Yep.
I'm like, yep, you're right. And then you just move on. So that one hit me pretty hard. But I hope in a small way I get an opportunity to kind of represent Dunk as much as possible. I bring him up a lot. I mean, if you listen to the show now with James, who I love, I mention Dunk a lot, and I hope, I always will. Always, because he taught me so much, not about baseball, but about life.
And my part two, please tell everyone the funny story of Chris Duncan and the Buffalo story.
The Buffalo?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know why that story gets me the most. I mean, there's so many. I don't know if you guys watched any of the 101 ESPN tributes that we did to Dunk, but we did this. Michelle Smallman did a great job of putting these videos together, and she asked everybody, hey, what's one story? And I'm like, God, I got so many of them, but the Buffalo story. So this encapsulates Dunk big time. We had Jeremy Rutherford, who I'm sure you guys know very well.
Yeah, I do.
Does a tremendous job. Yeah, tremendous job for the Athletic. Now he's with the Athletic now. He used to write the Post. So we had him on, and he's always been our Blues insider. And Dunk, just to provide a little perspective, like Dunk was always so concerned about saying a player's name wrong or a team name wrong or getting this. Like, he was obsessed with it. He didn't want to screw it up. Like, he took that same mentality in baseball and he applied it to broadcasting. Like, this guy's perfect, right? Like, that is how Dunk was. So naturally, we get JR on, and we're promoting one of his books. It was 100 Things to Know and Do Before, 100 Things to Know About the Blues Before You Die. That was like his first book. So we had him on, we're talking about the book, and then we jump into the hockey questions. And the Blues are playing the Sabres that night. So Dunk, again, fearful of saying like any team name wrong and that stuff. He goes, JR, so the Blues are playing the Buffaloes tonight, and this should be like an ass kicking, right? Like that's how he said it. And there was a pause, and JR is such a good dude. JR was just going to blow past it, and I wasn't going to say anything. It's like because I know Dunk would beat himself up, so we're just going to move on. But there's this pause, and we've played this on air a couple of times since his passing, just kind of remembering him. There's this pause, and then Dunk catches himself, and I'll always remember. Because he did the show from California. Him and his wife moved to California. And so he was on a screen when we did the show. And I always remember his face. Because you could tell the moment he realized he said Buffaloes, right? So he goes, I said Buffaloes, didn't I? And so we laugh about it, and, that was funny, right? The Buffalo. The best part of that whole sequence is Dunk and I, because he was on screen, we always had to communicate almost like signs. So, if he had another question, if he wanted to follow up with another question, he'd give me a sign, and he gave me that signal. He had a follow-up for JR. So he can barely get the words out. But he goes, JR, you got to send me that book, man. Because he was talking about, not knowing hockey. And they're like, obviously I need a hockey book. He's like, FedEx that puppy to me. And for some reason, after we got off the phone with JR, Dunk and I couldn't stop laughing over the fact it was the Buffaloes that he screwed the thing up. So we always called Sabres the Buffaloes in our show.
Yeah, I love hearing that story every time.
The Buffaloes.
Buffaloes.
The old Buffaloes.
Once again, everyone who's watching, thank you. This is the Platform Sports Talk Show, your Wednesday night sports delight. I am your boy Smooth.
B. Baker.
And Stan, baby.
And we have special guest from 101 ESPN, Anthony Stoltz.
Oh, like I said, Anthony Stoltz. I don't know if I had to say
that. I was trying to do my best, John Stockton to Malone.
Right. You got to give him the alley.
And Malone just missed it there.
Yeah,
there you go.
Malone bricked it.
Practice makes perfect. So we'll do it again next time. I got you.
Right.
Who's your guys' least favorite basketball player?
Oh, Stan, go ahead, tell.
Huh?
Go ahead, answer that question, Stan.
I can't say it now, because now it's going to look bad. You're like, dang, you going to hate him while he's down?
Yep.
I can't. I'm going to wait. Till we get over this.
Oh, no.
Is it Kevin Garnett?
No,
it's
not
Kevin Durant.
There you go.
Oh, Durant.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that was like a Durant. I was Durant on that, on that pass there. So why don't you like Durant?
Yeah, you were.
I'm interested now.
Well, the first reason, I just can't respect any man who goes to a team that beats him after you had a sizable lead. All you had to do was win one more game. You gave them, and then you didn't accept the blame for your actions.
All right, that's fair.
You agree or disagree, Stalter?
Well, no, I agree. I agree. The only thing about KD is that I will say, and again, feel free to disagree, but the Warriors are a great team before Kevin Durant. Like you can't, that's a fact. He made them a dynasty, though. Like he was the guy that when they went there, they became a dynasty. They were always a great team. Maybe they win another one without KD, but they became that dynasty because of him. So I almost kind of look at it from a team aspect, but I totally get it from just a player perspective of Durant.
Mm-hmm.
You're like grinding your teeth right now. I can feel it.
I see where you're coming from. He did great things in Golden State. Looking at how everything panned out since that big three in OKC split up, could he have done that there? I don't know. But, we'll never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You got to have a lot of respect for the guys that stay. I'm going to stay. You're like Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald's never going to win. He stayed. I'm a Cardinal.
Yeah.
So I certainly respect that aspect.
Yeah.
He might have a nice chance this year.
Yeah, he got some help coming this year.
Right.
Well, thanks to Bill O'Brien. If the Cardinals wind up winning a Super Bowl, like how big is that gift basket that they send to Bill O'Brien?
Oh my God! Shoot, they may give him the key to the city.
Right. Right.
No, you send him a chunk of land in the state.
Yeah.
You just call that O'Brien town.
Right.
Do you like I'm gonna show how little I know about welding and things like that, but do you somehow cut the piece of a Lombardi trophy and ship it to Houston and say, Bill O'Brien, this is partially yours, or handing him
Bill O'Brien.
Or give him a piece of the turf or something.
I mean,
give him a stadium seat with his name on it.
David Johnson, come on,
man, that was crazy.
Should call the field at Arizona the Bill O'Brien field.
Right, or at least a fantasy team at least.
They give him a championship ring on the left.
There you go.
That trade would have been vetoed in your fantasy league. They'd have been like, no, you guys are colluding.
They even had that on Madden. Someone did a trade like that on Madden, and on Madden the team rejected it. Like, no, like,
Yeah.
It ain't happening.
Right. Yeah. See, the computer gets it. Why doesn't Bill O'Brien? I don't understand that.
Right. Yeah. If you are Deshaun Watson right now, how would you feel?
I'm out. You can franchise me, all that stuff, whatever. I'll do what I got to do until that point, but then I'm out. I'm not signing a long-term deal. As long as Bill O'Brien's there, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you can't.
If you're Deshaun Watson, I can't sign a long-term deal.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason why Bill O'Brien won a playoff game a year ago is because Deshaun Watson pulled the Houdini move of a lifetime. Yes. I mean, here's the thing, gentlemen. We're like, oh my God, Deshaun Watson, that was the play of the year. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
There were two defenders unblocked on that play.
Yep.
Unblocked. How the hell do you have that? You've got two guys unblocked. What play are you calling in the huddle, which leaves two guys unblocked at your free shot at your quarterback?
Yep.
Like, let's take a step back and be like, what the heck?
That's usually suicide. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how many times does Bill O'Brien call into the huddle and he's like, Deshaun, I'm just gonna do your thing. Like, comes over, Deshaun, let's just do your play.
Right.
And then that's it.
I'm
out if I'm plugged.
Are the Rams in full rebuild mode?
I'll tell you what, they gotta rebuild that logo. Did you guys see that?
There you go, man. Yes, we did.
That's brutal. I mean, what? Angelo State University, some D2 school's got the same. You copied. What intern copied the D2 school down the street and said, this will be fine.
My JV team had that. Yeah.
And as you brought it up, I just showed everyone the logos.
There you go.
Yeah, it did not look good.
That's unbelievable. First of all, I'm like, hey, that's a cool logo if you're the Chargers. That's the Chargers logo, basically. Anyway.
Actually, the Chargers logo is better than that.
You're right.
Yeah, it is.
You're right. I shouldn't even
put a
crap on
it's just so much funnier because I got a Battlehawk shirt on right now that reminds you how awesome their logo is compared to this.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding. But getting back to your question, are they rebuilding? No, I don't think they're rebuilding. I think what they realized, look, you give up 2 first-round picks for cornerback Jalen Ramsey, you better figure out how to pay him.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake was obviously handing Todd Gurley that amount of money. I think the Cowboys signing Zeke, they had to do that because if you're drafting a guy in the top 5 and he panned out like he did, and you're not, he's still 25, 26 years old, and he doesn't have the injury history like Todd Gurley did, pay him, right? Yeah. You've already made that investment. I'm sorry, I'm not drafting a running back in the first round. There's too many times where you can find somebody in the middle rounds to be your running back and not invest a top 5, top 10 pick in him. So
prime example, look at what happened in the Super Bowl. Who should have been MVP? The running back.
Damian Williams.
Exactly.
Yep.
And they, from the Chiefs. And then you had the other guy from the 49ers. He was
Mostert,
yeah. So I mean,
that dude was on a 7 team right now.
Right.
7.
That's crazy.
Those two guys epitomizes the point that running backs, and I feel bad for Derrick Henry because will he really get that long-term deal that he wants? Just seeing what's going on with Todd Gurley, seeing what's going on with Melvin Gordon with the Chargers.
Yeah.
These teams are not trying to, after Zeke got paid with the Cowboys.
Well, see, that's the thing.
These teams aren't trying to These teams aren't trying to give you longevity anymore. They ain't trying to give you no 5-year, 40-something. No, they're trying to give you maybe a 2, 3-year deal now because they can't depend on you after 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
100%. And I'm a product of the '90s. I was born in the '80s. I grew up in the '90s.
Us too.
So so you guys know Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders. Like, I love the running back position.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't pay a running back. I'm trying to build a team.
Right.
So, anyways, the Rams, that was the mistake, giving Gurley the money. I think they're right to get out of it. They're going to have some dead cap and all that stuff. But the biggest problem with the Rams is that the offensive line. When you start paying Gurley and Goff and
mistake number
Brandon
2.
Cooks,
and nobody to protect him.
Aaron Donald, you absolutely had to pay.
Yep.
Period. End of story. He'd be the first guy, right? But when you start, the Seahawks went through this. When you start paying for it for everybody, you now are drafting one position, and you might be starting a 5th rounder at left tackle or left guard. The Rams' offensive line, once that thing fell apart a year ago, and everybody knew what the hell Sean McVay was doing, then that the thing kind of fell apart. But I actually really like McVay. I don't know if they're rebuilding, but I don't think that's a playoff team right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's on your point about the offensive line. That's how injuries occur. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you got to protect your players. So that's your core. So I agree with you 100% on that.
Shoot, ask Kurt Warner during his last few years with the Rams, and
even ask Tom Brady. That's the reason why he's been able to play so long.
And also ask Mark Bolger.
Oh my God, I forgot all about Mark Bolger for that very reason.
Yep, that poor guy.
Oh man, he let the Redskins tear him up. So
no, the O-line let the Redskins tear him up.
Facts. Yeah, I was like, man,
100%.
Seemed like RG3 was on the field the whole game.
Oh God, he was ruined in one game. He was ruined in one game, one playoff game. He was ruined. Yeah, it was unreal. I felt so bad for that kid.
Me too, man.
Yeah,
I saw him live when they came here, and the dude was crazy.
So electric.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah.
Oh, the good old times of having professional football, NFL here.
At the Dome,
you brought up the NBA a while back, and the guys don't agree, but with everything going on in St. Louis, a lot of good stuff has been going on recently. The Battlehawks, we now have a MLS team coming.
Yep.
The Blues won the Stanley Cup last year. A lot of good positive vibes has been coming our way since the Rams left. Does that open up any opportunities, Stalter, for us to get an NBA team?
I would love to see it, but the biggest problem with the way that the NFL left, and look, just to provide some insight there, it had not people here in St. Louis took it personally, obviously, as well they should, because Kroenke and Demoff, there's no reason why they should have torched the city on the way out. Like that whole scathing crap report that they put together. The NFL was, as soon as Kroenke raised his hand and said, "Hey, I'll build you a stadium in LA." It really didn't have anything to do with St. Louis anymore. It was just, okay, we've got a puppet that's going to build us the stadium in LA. What do we have to do to get that team in LA? If Shad Khan and Jacksonville did the same thing, guess what? It'd be the LA Jaguars. Don't confuse this, right? Like this, it was not a St. Louis thing. However, I thought the biggest thing that kind of told us about where the NFL, what the NFL thinks of the NFL, the city of St. Louis, and then what I worry about with maybe the NBA is Mark Davis, the Raiders owner. As soon as he lost the bid, because it was going to be the Chargers and Raiders in Carson City or the Rams in Inglewood, right? Like that was the proposal. As soon as they went with the Rams proposal instead of the Carson City one, Mark Davis was interviewed afterwards, and they were like, "Hey, look, you didn't get LA. What about Vegas?" He goes, "Absolutely, all options are on the table, right? What about San Antonio? Absolutely, all options are on the table. What about a move to St. Louis? Oh, hell no." Like he was adamant. Everything else was on the table but St. Louis. So for some reason, the NFL doesn't feel like, at least this is my, I don't want to, look, this is my opinion, right? My opinion. For some reason, it feels as though the NFL doesn't feel like it can make money here. And that is the thing that would keep, I think, any professional team, NBA, NFL, or otherwise, from coming to St. Louis. Now, the MLS, hotbed for soccer, right? Like, they wanted to be here, and the group here for the MLS, just a tremendous job. Carolyn Kindle-Best and her group, unreal to get MLS to St. Louis, right? It's gonna take that sort of effort, that sort of grassroots effort, I think, to get an NBA team here. But from a fan perspective, my God, I would love to see it.
Yeah,
I would love to see it, and I would love to see all professional sports in St. Louis. You know, that's just my take on it. But I know a lot of people that they don't want to see the NFL. I get it, but I want all sports in St. Louis.
Yeah.
You know, because one, I love sports, and two, I don't know, my career is also in sports, so it might help a little bit.
Yeah, that definitely boost even more ratings for the for 101 ESPN. Like I'm pretty sure the Blues did when they announced their partnership with 101 ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was great. That was great to have that announcement come before they win the Stanley Cup, and for us to partner with those guys. It's unfortunate, certainly, that the season is postponed right now. But getting to know Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale and a lot of the hard workers with the Blues, that's been great. And to team up with a guy like Jamie Rivers, who has such unbelievable hockey content and knowledge, it's just been, for me, it's a learning experience, right? Because I always liked hockey, but I just can't. I don't see the game as well as Jamie and obviously Kerber and Vitale do. So to learn from those guys has been a blessing. But to partner with the team coming off the first Stanley Cup, man, I mean, there's no words. It's been so exciting.
Right.
Hopefully they get back to hockey soon.
Exactly. You brought up Bernie Miklasz earlier, Randy Karraker. In my opinion, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Stalter, but I see a lot of Randy Karraker in you.
Really? Wow, that's a tremendous compliment.
Yeah, very knowledgeable about not just one sport, but a lot of sports. Randy, when he has the 4 o'clock fight, it's hard to beat him because he knows so much. He just like
a freak.
He's a wealth of knowledge in regards to a lot of things in sports. So, do you have any influences at the station or outside? Who are your influences? Should I ask instead? Who are your influences?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, thank you. I mean, that's a massive compliment you just gave me to say that I have that my game resembles Randy's in any way, shape, or form. I mean, Randy's an institution here in St. Louis. I mean, when you get that guy talking about just St. Louis, I mean, forget St. Louis sports, just St. Louis. He is just he's must listen to radio. We were at I forget what bar we were at doing a broadcast when I was producing one time, and he was talking about the city and the direction of the city and what the city needs to do. I hung on every word. Like I was supposed to be doing something at the time, some sort of producer, responsibility, and I just stopped to listen to what he had to say, and I told him that day. But so Randy's a St. Louis institution, right? So I don't think in terms of like stylistically, I take anything necessarily from Randy outside of his formatics, just to kind of do some like radio jargon, but the transitions, there's a clock, there's a lot of there's a formula to it, right? To try to generate ratings and understanding the way the clock works and how they move in and out of segments and get to commercials at a certain point, interview styles, all that. Like Randy's incredibly sharp at that. So I did learn a lot from Randy from that perspective. Bernie, as I've noted, Bernie's just a genius, right? And his ability to just strive for unique content all the time is something that I often try to do as well. Like, don't just, again, go to ESPN.com or FS1 or whatever and take the top headline and react to it. Like, so many guys do that, and it's fine, they're good at it, but what do you have that separates you from anybody else, right? Because, it's a market now where a lot of people have the ability, whether it's Twitter or what have you, to kind of say their mind, say their piece on sports. Yeah. So can you do it in a unique way? And Bernie does it perhaps better than anybody. But so I glean a little bit from him. Steve Savard, I think just the most freaking professional, polished dude. Love Steve Savard, and I've gotten a chance to know him when he was calling the Ram games, and I was doing the pregame with Randy in the halftime, just to watch how Steve Savard operates. I mean, that is a guy that takes anything that he's doing very seriously, and he doesn't waste his own time. He doesn't waste anybody else's time. Like, he is going to be prepared. So I glean a little bit from him. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. I just take bits and pieces from other people and say, all right, this is going to be how I do it. And then, believe it or not, Dave Chappelle.
Oh.
Dave Chappelle, when you watch his stand-up, and he is weaving in and out of stories, but somehow finds a way to connect them all.
Yep.
Yeah, and he'll bring it back at the end, yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? Like,
he'll set up his last joke on the first joke.
Yes. Like, when I saw him do that and I've always loved Chappelle. Like, I don't know if you're big fans of Chappelle.
Hell yeah.
He used to do this, did you guys ever hear the Sesame Street one that he did back in the day? Like, just stand-up comedy. If you haven't, check it out.
Yeah. But I heard you talking about it today on the show, I believe.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about it today. Perfect. Yep. So, Chappelle, the way that he can connect different audiences and bring them in, like, you know, it doesn't matter what, now he's going to piss a lot of people off, obviously, but, you know, the way that he weaves stories, the way that he educates, like, there's sometimes where he's educating you on something, and then also making you laugh and making you think. And the way that he takes subject matters kind of seriously, but then is also self-aware enough to joke about it. I actually look at his stand-up comedy and I'm like, okay, what can I do that he does so well and kind of blend it into my game? So there's a lot of people that I kind of you got to be yourself. You got to be unique. But there's a lot of people that I'm like, hey, I like that. I like this. I like that. Can I put my own spin on it? Mm-hmm. And then the last guy naturally would be Cowherd. Say what you want. Say what you want about Cowherd. But, like, dude, I mean, the king of analogies. And I know some people are like, I don't like him. I think he's an idiot. Whatever. And you know what? He'll be the first one, I think, to say. And I don't know him personally. I think he'd be the first one to say that he doesn't know a ton about sports. But what he does know is radio. And I think, you know, just kind of learning from his game is something I try to do as well.
That's what's up. Once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show, your Wednesday night sports delight. I am your boy Smooth, along with
B. Baker.
On the line we have
Anthony Stalter.
And also we have
Dan Logan.
There we go. There we go. There we
Nailed
go.
it that time. Me too. I love
it. Once again, special guest Anthony Stalter from Stalters and Rivers on 101 ESPN. Yo, midday from 10 to 2. Sound like I work for the station. Speaking of which, who be doing the nice little voiceovers for y'all commercials and stuff on 101 ESPN?
Yeah, that dude's awesome. His name is Anthony. He used to so the point in Casey was purchased by our Hubbard Broadcasting. Like, that's our parent company, right? We're an ESPN affiliate, but we're not owned by ESPN, if that makes sense. Like, Hubbard Broadcasting is its own thing. So when Hubbard brought in the Point and they brought in Casey, this dude Anthony, who does some nights and weekends or some fill-in stuff for the Point, he does our voiceovers, and that guy is the voice is incredible.
101 ESPN. My last question, for those who may not know, outside of what you do with 101 ESPN, before the virus and the pandemic happened, you were a traveling man. You would go to the actual ESPN in Connecticut and do work for them.
No, he up in Bristol.
Yeah, that was to say that was an experience. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, you always look. This is my home. I love St. Louis. My kids are from St. Louis. My wife is from St. Louis. I was married in St. Louis. Like, I'm here, right? This is my home. But you always look. You grew up and you wanted to be in radio. You want to be in TV. Like, ESPN is always, that's the mothership, right? Mm-hmm. So I put together a demo tape probably about a year ago, and Michelle Smallman, who worked in Bristol as a producer for over a year. I told her, I'm like, look, I'm going to put this demo tape together. I'm like, I'll send it off, and I'll probably never hear from them. But not that I want to do anything full time. Like, hey, look, Michelle was like, they're always looking for nights and weekends hosts, right? So she's like, I'll help you put the demo together. And Marnie's producer, Tom Carroll, who's just a great dude as well, he helped me with it. Freeze Pops, Tommy Freeze Pops. He's like, hey, let me send off. Let me help you with the demo. So we sent it off. Long story short, producer out there, nights and weekend producer out there, program director said, hey, we like you. Why don't we bring you in? I signed a 1-year contract, and we'll have you do some nights and weekends. So I think I did 3 Saturday night shows, and one of them was the night that the Blues got crushed at home by Boston. It was Game 6. It was my first night on ESPN radio, and I was like, I never get nervous. I'm not boastful. I'm just like, whatever. Hey, I cracked. I'm comfortable. Let me do my thing, right? So I'm never nervous for a show. Guys, I swear, I thought I was going to throw up all day. Like, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and, this is the mothership and all that stuff. But I did it from our studios here in St. Louis, but it was after the Blues game, and after the Blues got crushed. And all I kept thinking of, because we're an affiliate, so when people would, like, leave Enterprise, and if they tune into 101, they would hear me, but it was, like, all NBA, because I was working for the mothership. But people don't know that, they're like, they can't distinguish it, they might just hear me. So I'm like, I'm going to get crushed on Twitter because I'm not talking about the Blues, right? So I was just a mess that night, but I thought it went well. Did a couple more of those shows, and then that same program director said, hey, this is August. He goes, hey, he's like, we're putting together an NFL show on Sundays. It's kind of like a red zone show, 5 hours on a Sunday, with Mike Tannenbaum, who's a former general manager for the Jets, and Field Yates, who works for ESPN. He said, we'd like you to host it. And I almost, like, fell out of my chair. I'm like, and I thought, okay, well, I'll be in the studio out here in St. Louis. I'm like, absolutely. He goes, well, before you jump to that, he goes, we need you here in Bristol. I'm like, oh boy. And any of you guys married?
Nah, not yet.
No, okay. If you do get married at some point, you'll understand this. My first thought was, oh crap, what am I going to tell my wife? Like, how do I add, like, this isn't, can I get, like, the NBA package from DirecTV? Like, I'm not asking for that. I'm asking to freaking leave every weekend. We got 2 little ones, like I said earlier.
Right.
So
wow.
I'm like, I got to ask my wife, and he was great. He's like, yeah, no problem. So, and this is the greatness of my wife. So I called her, and I'm like trying to downplay it. Now this is just an incredible opportunity. So I call her. I'm like, Chris, Mike at ESPN called me, and he wants me to host a Sunday show, all NFL. And I'm like, but I got to be in Bristol to do it, right? So she was like, she goes, so what's the problem?
That's a wife for
I'm
you
like,
right there.
How about that, right? And I'm like, Kristen, I'm gonna be leaving on, like, Saturday, every Saturday. The football season is 17 weeks plus playoffs. I have no idea if I'm doing playoffs and all that. Like, this is every weekend. And she's like, so what's the problem? Like, okay, this is either a great thing, you're telling me you can't stand my face anymore, and you're okay with me leaving every weekend. But so she was great, to say the least. And there was a lot of challenges. There was. For me to leave every Saturday, my little guy Killian, my son who's 2, my daughter Madeline was all about mommy, is often all about mommy, and Killian's always about daddy, right? So to leave every week, like, he was crying every single time I had to leave the airport. So that certainly got tough. But to be in Bristol and to be watching, they've got a green, like, kind of like a green screen room or whatever, you can watch all the games. Guys, I'm there. I'm in the back row. Like, I'm in the back row, head down. I ain't gonna say anything. But Berman's there, Tom Jackson's there. Like, guys I grew up watching are front row. Chris Mortensen, Randy Moss strolls in, Rex Ryan strolls in, Teddy Bruschi strolls in. Like, these guys are just watching these games.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
What the hell am I doing here? You know, like, how am I, this fortunate to be able to do this? But working in Bristol and running those shows, I mean, it's almost like flying a freaking plane at times. There's so much going on. But it was just an experience that, I mean, I hope I get a chance to do it again because it's unbelievable. It's a dream come true for sure.
Yeah.
And you just brought up Teddy Bruschi and so many others. You speak to the likes of guys like Danny McLaughlin from the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
The voice of the Cardinals.
Amen.
Is there a interview, celebrity, personality, anybody that you was like, wow, I actually had the opportunity to speak or see this guy?
Yeah, man. There's pretty much everybody, right? Like, because for me, you guys know my story now. I mean, for me to be getting shot at repoing cars in Detroit to
on Grand and Cass, and I was
hey, stop putting this man on Grand and Cass. I want him to come back. And you
guys got to put me on another street, right? So, but for you guys to know my story now, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but for anybody that I get an opportunity to talk to is incredible. But yeah, Dan McLaughlin's another guy that just you guys are asking about, influences and stuff like that, right? Like Dan McLaughlin, I don't think I hear that guy stumble. I don't think I hear him, he's all like Bob Costas is the mecca of that. I've never heard an album come out of Bob Costas' mouth. Dan McLaughlin's pretty close to that, right? So to have him on our show every Wednesday and he's ribbing me about something or ribbing Jamie about something, that's always kind of a surreal moment. Bobby Knight was another guy. I'm like, what the hell am I doing interviewing Bobby Knight?
Yeah.
So that was good. But I got to go back to my Detroit days. Because 23 years old or whatever the hell I was, and to be in the locker room and I'm interviewing Sheed, or interviewing Ben Wallace, interviewing, Tayshaun Prince and Chauncey Billups, like just an unbelievable dude. That struck me. But I was, regular listeners know I'm a Falcon fan. Like, I grew up a Dion guy. Like, I love
our apologies for that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, there's teams in every league where the fan base just needs to realize that you're the butt of the joke. And the Falcons are the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
I get it, Like, that's my lot in life. I'll never see the Falcons win a Super Bowl. And Blues fans are like, oh, that's what you said about the Blues. I don't care. Like, I'm never going to see the Falcons win a Super Bowl. That was it. Right? That was it. Right. Stop it.
Y'all got Gurley.
I've made peace.
Hey, Todd Gurley's back home, and he got something to play.
Oh,
right. Y'all got Gurley.
He's got no knee.
That's the issue.
No cartilage.
He's got one good knee.
He on a peg leg out there.
Hey, when I'm there live with you guys, if you guys still want me on, if I'm there live with you guys, I'll tell the story that night. I was at Brad Thompson's house that night, and I got drunk, as you guys can imagine. So
got you.
I'll share it like that.
Yeah, we need that.
But I used to do, on top of like the Pistons stuff, sometimes they used to run me in the opponent's locker room for Lions games. So one day the Falcons came in, they got destroyed by Lions somehow. It was Vic. It was Vic's day. So, yeah, so like to be, when I was, Vic went to the podium because he's quarterback, but to be in the locker room and to be interviewing like, players on that Falcon team, I won't bore you with some of the names. Lurie Malloy was one of the players on the Falcons at that point, the old Patriot. That was surreal. Like, Lurie Malloy is a badass dude, right? So to be interviewing him was kind of wild, but like to be throwing questions at Vic, that was crazy as well. And I know the off-field stuff. I get it. I understand people, disgusted by him and all that. From a football standpoint, guys, I've never seen an athlete like Michael Vick, ever. That includes Barry Sanders and all that stuff. When I got an opportunity to be on the field that game and to watch the velocity that Michael Vick threw or the running ability by him, I've never seen an athlete like him in all my life. So to interview him, I think is kind of a surreal moment, too.
Man, that's awesome. And he just had like part 2 of it, 30 for 30 on ESPN.
Yep.
So that's some good stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. I missed that one. Yeah. I have to check.
I haven't seen it yet neither. I'm kind of putting that one off just for one of them days I really, really need something entertaining.
It's coming.
Right. Oh, it's not far. Yeah, it's definitely coming.
Those days are fast approaching.
These days are actually here. I'm just like putting.
Approaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man. All right, so once again, let's see how this goes. Once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. Your boy Smooth.
B. Baker.
And
It's man, baby.
and special guest from 101 ESPN, Starters and Rivers we have.
Hey, Anthony Salter.
And
Almost jumped the gun.
there we go. And we also now have on the line, because we have her every other Wednesday, even though we was at her house last week in the Boondocks, but now she's on the show. We have her live talking about everything related to baseball and hockey. We have Joe for Joe Knows. Joe, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Just sitting at home listening to the show with my husband.
There we go. So now
On beer number. No,
right. So now
No, I'm not drinking.
so now we have someone who's married on the show outside of you, Stalter.
Right, there you go.
Honestly, I could have told my husband to take that job in a heartbeat.
Like okay,
I was
what's the
lucky.
problem? Right. So, Joe, how have you been? I know you and I both now work from home. B can see our workstation and everything going on. But how are things going with you right now?
Things are good. Just getting adjusted to working from home. It's different. I got my husband downstairs with his little setup. My mom's working in our kitchen, and I'm working in my little room. So it's different. It's weird, but I like it.
And how does it feel being on the line with Anthony Stalter?
It's awesome.
It's like who?
No, I listen. Trust me, I listen to the show. It's funny. I don't know. With Fredrickson and now Stalter, it's like I was telling Brenda before we got on. I was like, you get like Danny Mac or Michelle Smallman on the show, I might have a heart attack.
Now, hey, and Stalter, just so you know, I would say on the line, it would be awesome to have Michelle Smallman on this show. I know she's a busy person, doing a lot of digital stuff for 101 ESPN, but for our female followers who watch, it would be great to be able to have her part of the show. So if we can make something happen after the show, we'll definitely get that going. But
Michelle's great. I mean, as a person, she is. I mean, inspirational certainly to any female that wants to kind of break into sports. I know so many times young girls, young females will either reach out to her or have the mother, the father reach out to Michelle for advice, and she always responds. I mean, she's just a great person, inside and out,
and very very knowledgeable.
Sports, as a girl that loves sports and loves St. Louis, like I just feel like I really. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
I just listen to her on the radio.
I'll share that for sure.
Most definitely. So once again, this is all about baseball and hockey. Let's start off with hockey first. Joe, did you have any question in regards to when we first started in regards to hockey?
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay. So. Is this a blessing?
I feel like there's not much to talk about. I'm like trying to think of things.
Right, we put you on the spot on that one.
Right. So is this a blessing in disguise for the Blues as being reigning defending champions to have this break, even though we know the reason why, but is this a blessing in disguise, Stalter?
You know, I think in some ways it is, because it's not only playing extra hockey, winning the Stanley Cup, it's the style that they play. You know, they're a team that's very, very physical. They're very, when they get on the forecheck and they're a big puck possession team, they're so physical. You can't play that way for 82 straight games and not have lulls. And they had a lull, probably about a month and a half ago. Feels like 4 years ago, but back when they were still playing, they had a lull and everybody's kind of panicking. And I tried to do my best to say, look, this is a valley right now. They'll come out of this. You can't play that physical style for 82 straight games. So in some respects, yes, but unfortunately, if they don't come back, then it winds up being moot. But if let's say the league comes back in June, yeah, that Blues team is going to be one to be reckoned with, because you got Tarasenko back now, and you've got a completely rested. You get this extended break for a team that just played a lot of hockey a year ago. So I would say yes.
Yeah.
How many goalies would you put over Jordan Binnington?
Well, there's certainly guys that have been around a lot longer and have more consistency. But I'll tell you what, a lot of the veteran guys, like Jonathan Quick wasn't having a good year. Heinrich Lundqvist, King Heinrich there in New York, he was being replaced a lot. I mean, it's a guy that's got, making $12, $13, $14 million. So a lot of the veteran studs have struggled this year. So with Binnington, the big thing obviously was to show that he can do it 2 years in a row. And what we saw a year ago wasn't a fluke. And while he has had some ups and downs, and that's just going to happen over the course of the year, that guy's a stud, and the Blues have their goaltender for the next, X amount of years. I mean, that guy is legit. He has already proven, in my eyes, that he can be consistent from here on out. But in terms of like how many goaltenders I take above him, I'd have to refamiliarize myself with a lot of the league right now. But I would say at this point it's probably top 5, even though he's only played about a year and a half now.
I think you'd have to put Tuco and Bishop and Fleury up there before him, but yeah, he's probably top 5 of that.
For sure. There you go.
What about Carey Price?
I mean, he had a down year last year, but I mean, Blackhawks I don't think they're in a playoff spot right now, but they're definitely better than they were the last couple of years, and he has a lot to do with that.
And start to just say, just like Michelle Smallman, Joe, this is the reason why we call this Joe Knows, because she knows her stuff.
Right.
I'm already seeing that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't know why you guys are talking to me this much. You said, "Oh, you're on." I came on late. Joe knows for sure.
There we go. So same question, but in regards to coach, how many coaches do you have over Berube? Because he came in and just lit a fire that previous Blues coaches tried to do. Ken Hitchcock was there. We almost, won the Western Conference a couple years ago before he was let go that following year. But just an outstanding job by Berube, how he's intense. He doesn't hold back no matter who you are. Something that I know when we get to the baseball talk that we are hoping Schilt continues to work on and improve in regards to this being stern and saying, hey, like for instance, the one of the biggest stories I like to hear, always heard last year was Alexander Steen. He was always playing a top line position, but then Berube had that talk behind the scenes like, hey, we need you to be down like the third or fourth line, join these guys here and playing this role because this is going to better help the team. So stuff like that is what the respect I have for Berube. So in regards to overall, how many coaches would you put over him?
Oh man, not many. Honestly, the job that Craig Berube, I don't even know if I put anybody over him. Quite frankly, I mean the job that he has done. I mean, obviously Joel Quenneville is just an absolute stud. But when the Blues let go of Mike Yeo and everybody was wanting Quenneville because Chicago fired him.
Right.
Look, I remember Doug, and I'm not crushing Doug Armstrong in this because everybody felt it. Well, but Doug Armstrong sat there on the same podium as Craig Berube and we're searching for our next head coach. The search begins now. And Berube was sitting right next to him. Berube understood it was an interim spot. But my man comes in and he does it his way. And that, as we know, forget the fact that team wasn't playing well. That team, there was seemingly no fire. Not saying that the effort wasn't there, because obviously there's always effort there. But it almost felt like it was a divided locker room. And Berube comes in and he's like, all right, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to throw away the standings. I don't want to look at that. You don't look at the standings. We're starting anew here. And this is how we're going to do it, boys. And, like you said, the adjustments that he made in the postseason were certainly highlighted. The adjustments that he made throughout the course of the second half of the season were all on display. And it got to the point where the players are like, well, hey, look, everything this guy touches turns to gold. Mm-hmm. And I think more than anything, guys, the players, I don't care what sport it is, all the player wants is for somebody to make them great. That's it. If you really care, if you're a player and you want to be at the top of your game, your profession, they want somebody that is going to put them in a spot to succeed. And that's what Berube did. And it didn't matter if it was Steen or Petro or a player like Oscar Sundqvist came in. Look, Berube was going to get the guys to buy in because he was putting them in the best spots to succeed. And once that happened, everything took off. And of course, making the switch from Jake Allen to Jordan Binnington certainly didn't hurt.
Right.
But for him to come back, and yes, it's a great team, and yes, it's the same team coming back. But the hardest, believe it or not, the hardest part in my eyes is not necessarily winning; it's sustaining the winning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for Berube to sustain the winning through the point where they had to take the break because of the virus, that to me is incredibly impressive.
And as you were talking, I thought about it. It's like teams who face the Blues have that minor fear, or they don't like the Blues anymore. Similar to how teams back in the day, when they faced a Tony La Russa like team, couldn't stand facing the Cardinals because they knew what to expect, and they knew it was going to be a grind out, what La Russa always say, play a hard nine type style. That's the same thing the Blues do, and under Berube, is teams know when they come in to face St. Louis, whether it's on the road or at home, they know, here we go. You might as well get your Ben Gay ready.
Right. It's gonna be one of them.
Because you know it's gonna be something else.
Yeah, no, well said. Well said. Yeah, you got to play out for sure. That's where the hard nine came from. Absolutely. I mean, it's the whole bring. You better bring your lunch pail, right? I mean, and that's the thing with the Blues. If they do, you hope the NHL comes back to try to beat that team over 7 games. Good luck. You know, I mean, you may get 1 on them, you may get 2 on them, and winning the Stanley Cup is the most difficult trophy. The Stanley Cup is the most difficult trophy to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even having said that, I mean, I don't see many teams being able to beat them, 4 times in a 7-game series. And it plays into what you just talked about.
And I'm going to ask Joe this first, then Starter, you can follow up. I believe she told me a team before, but I'm going to just ask again. Which team fears you the most if they come back to play, which we hope they do, but which team fears you the most? Start off with Joe, that could stand in the Blues' way of repeating. And let's start off with the rest of the conference.
Okay, well, first, I had to correct myself. I guess I had a Duncan moment to listening to you earlier. You said Carey Price was Canadian. He's top 5 probably, even though their team is trash. But Corey Crawford's still good. So I had to correct myself. But
we knew
I would have to say the Stars. I think that's pretty much been my concern the entire year. But even the last time, we had that a week or so in a row of just losing, and then we played the Stars in Dallas. We dominated them. I wasn't scared going into that game. I was still confident about it. But, I mean, just Bishop and the veterans they have on their team, and Sagan and Ben and whatnot, and now they got Corey Perry and whatnot. They're still scary, but I would have to say them for sure. I still feel confident against them, though.
Yeah, for me, it's Colorado. When you get a team like the Avalanche that can score at will against you, against any team, right? That level of skill set, especially off that top line, that is the team that probably concerns me the most when it comes to the Western Conference, and the fact that McKinnon was going to be out for a couple of weeks. That was going to be an advantage for the Blues that obviously they don't have anymore because of the unfortunate pandemic here. So yeah, the Avalanche, and with the way that they were able to kind of unfortunately whip the Blues a couple of times in Denver, that's the team that gives me the most pause.
Yeah, I didn't even think about them because McKinnon was going to be out. Kadri's been out for a long time, and so now if the season starts back up, hopefully they're going to be really scary. They just got lots of, and Rantanen, they just got a lot of goal scorers on their team.
Yep, exactly.
And Stan, did you have any questions?
I do not have any questions. Well, no, I have one question.
Uh-oh.
All right, so honestly, I told somebody this, and they looked at me strange. And I still don't understand why they looked at me strange. Because we talked about it last week with everything going on with COVID-19 and all the sports are off. would it be wrong? Because I really don't think it would be wrong. Would it be wrong if they come back to the season and, well, whenever they start playing, I wouldn't say just jump back into play, but like probably a week or 2 weeks, like what we said last week, to get their legs back. But then you just start the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's the toughest thing.
I just feel like time is not on our side in this, and no matter how much we want it to be, this is time that we can't get back.
Yeah, but like I said last week, I think the players came out and said they'd rather push back everything and just finish the year out because there's like 15 games left, and there's teams that are within a handful of points out of the playoffs. So, I mean, that would really suck. You know, that's pretty much saying, all right, we're going back, and the season's over with. Like, everything didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, that's just. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that's the toughest part from the NHL's perspective or Major League Baseball. I mean, Major League Baseball, you're gonna have these guys 3-4 weeks of training camp before they can be prepared to get back into play, and it's gonna be the same thing for hockey. Now it's gonna be 4 weeks, but you know they're gonna need a couple weeks to ramp things back up. These are professional athletes.
Yeah.
And professional athletes, by the way, some of them making a ton of money.
Right.
So you can't just start things back up. You know, as soon as this pandemic, either you know, I don't want to speak like a medical professional because obviously not. But
there you go.
Whenever there's a clearance here to resume play, you can't just say, all right, we'll see everybody at noon. You know, so
right, injuries
that's the
happen.
tricky part.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So before we get over to the baseball, B. Baker is about to actually head out. So he wants to say goodbyes.
Just Joe, how you doing? What's going on? Anthony Stalter, appreciate meeting you, man. Great stories. Wish I could stay longer. I just started a new job, so I got to kind of be there a little earlier than everybody else right now. So appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Well, it was a pleasure. I hope I have an opportunity to meet you live.
Oh yeah, we definitely gonna do that, man. Definitely. So appreciate you guys.
Sure.
And Stan, man, you know, appreciate you holding it down from the car, man.
Oh no, I'm back in the house now. We got feedback up there. I'm in the house. I ain't outside or nothing.
I hear you, man. All right, guys, y'all take it easy.
B. Baker is out.
Yep. Appreciate you staying 6 feet, bro.
B. Baker has
let me stand up a little bit and then go to the wall so he don't get within certain distance while he walks away.
You know what it is.
Once again, y'all,
for practicing great social distancing.
Right, and I don't know, Starter, if you've been watching the show, but we have the lights all going. We got the hand sanitizer showing on the screen, so people will know that we're taking it serious right now.
Right.
I'm gonna I got you on live now. You guys, I want to check out this studio. You guys got it on lockdown here.
Yeah, there you go. You got a full screen showing right now for you, just so you can see
Nice.
a little bit of how we do it here on the platform Sports Talk Show. Well, this has
On the platform, what?
Right, the platform Splat. Right. But they know what it is now. They've been watching for 3 years, which will be official next week, our 3rd year anniversary. So loving it, man. Once again, I am your boy Smooth, and on the line we have. Then we have special guest
Anthony Stalter.
And also from Joe Knows we have.
Joe.
There we go. I saw the replay last week of our show and in the Boondocks, and she was like, Joe.
I don't know what to say. You guys got all your special names and stuff.
Right. Hey, you just got to have fun with it. So that's how we do it here.
Joe Bo.
Joe Bo. Then, we ain't going to call her by her government name, so we'll leave that alone. But last week she said she didn't like it, so we're just going to respect it, We're just going to respect that. So going to baseball. Year two of the full season of Mike Schilt. What is something, I'll start off with you, Stalter, that you want to see more from Schilt going to this season whenever it starts?
Yeah, well, think the biggest thing whenever it does start is he going to have a quick hook on some of these guys, right? Like Matt Carpenter. If I get, not that anybody loves it, but I understand they invested a lot in Matt Carpenter, and they're going to give him a shot, right? Well, at what point do you say, Matt Carpenter, there's no rebound here, and I got to go with Tommy Edman full-time at third base?
Right.
So when does that happen? Mike Schultz got a very difficult job in the outfield because you've got guys like Tyler O'Neill and obviously Lane Thomas and Dexter Fowler. And Tommy Edman's going to play somewhere because he loves that. Schultz loves Edman. So you've got all these positions. And, oh, by the way, your future is Dylan Carlson.
Exactly.
So where do these – what's the qualifications here, for the guys to start in the outfield? What does Schilt need to see to say, okay, this is my starting outfield, or this is my rotation, right? I think it's one of the toughest jobs. I'm not a huge look. Managers in baseball are not like offensive and defensive coordinators in football. They're just not. You're not running an offense, not running a defense. The manager's job is to make sure that everybody is over 162 games. You're getting the most out of guys. You understand when to push and pull and all that stuff. But when it comes to Schultz specifically, the dude has got to be a wizard when it comes to the outfield. And I don't know what the criteria will be to say, all right, Tyler O'Neill is not my guy in left. I got to get with Mo, and we got to bring up Dylan Carlson, or Dexter Fowler. I'm not seeing enough out of Dexter Fowler. I got to go more with Harrison Bader. Whatever. I mean, to have 5 guys in the outfield, and all 5 are the team is trying to get a look at. I mean, that's a tough job for Schultz. So I think the thing that I want to see out of him is that ability, like Craig Berube, who we just got done talking about, to just have that secret sauce every single night to know when to go with certain guys in the outfield and certain guys that, whether it's Matt Carpenter. I'm rambling a little bit, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, look, when does he have the magic touch when it comes to figuring out who should get the most playing time?
I think, to me...
I think I've mentioned it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe. You go ahead first.
No, I was just gonna say is that, like, I mentioned it before on a show, is like he's gonna have to be someone, Stanton, like a Joe Madden when he had the Cubs, because he would move pieces around a lot. He had those utility pieces, and he could put Ian Happ in the infield or in the outfield, and the same thing with Ben Zobrist, and they had 3 catchers to use, like back when they were winning. So, I mean, that's what he needs to be like. He's gonna have to move things around, because you can't have 5 outfielders and every single one of them's a question mark.
Right, definitely.
And to me, you have to start showing some serious cojones and get down to it, and you can't be afraid to hurt someone's feelings. And I think that's what he's struggling with the most is, can you really have... Now, Matt Carpenter has shown via the media, hey, I want to earn this spot. But you haven't heard the same thing from Dexter Fowler.
Right.
When would that conversation happen that... And I know a lot of Cardinal fans have said it on via text line or via mic drop on 101 ESPN about playing performance over contract. That's the biggest issue that we have been having even during the Matheny years, is that the organization has been trying to focus on playing certain guys because of the contract that they signed and not playing the better player. That's what Schilt really has to dig into starting game 1, not game 20 or game 30 of the season, whenever that will be. But off the gate, you need to set a precedent like this is how it's going to be. And will he go ahead and do that? Or like Bernie Miklasz would say, he'll play Mr. Happy Talk guy.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That's the toughest part. And I'm not trying to defend any sort of like, hey, contract over the best player. It'd be stupid to.
Mm-hmm.
But look, I think what we kind of this is why, by the way, when the Cardinals aren't making any moves in the offseason, I'm like, cool, I'm okay with it. because you eventually get to the point where it's like, why are they playing the contract? Because the guy's making $100 and something million. That's why. There's an investment there, you know. So I didn't like the Fowler signing. A lot of texters would be like, why don't you like Fowler? You're always bagging Fowler. Fowler's fine. Yeah, Fowler's fine. That's it. He's fine.
Right.
He's not.
We didn't pay him to be fine.
Exactly. So anytime you go to free agency, you go to market, as John Mozeliak likes to say, right? You're not on your terms now. You're on the Cubs' terms as well, or the Blue Jays' terms, or whoever was interested in Dexter Fowler, and that price is going up, right? So you sign Dexter Fowler, you give him $85 million, and then 2 years later, fans are like, well, this guy, there's not much there. You should bench him. No, there's an $85 million investment there. That's why free agency, I never get my, feathers in a freaking bunch there when the Cardinals aren't signing a bunch of free agents. Mm-hmm. However, not to contradict myself, look, Smooth, I'm with you. You can't keep playing the investment or the contract if you want to win games. Right. That's the bottom line. So I'm with you. If you want to start Matt Carpenter at third to start the year, whenever the year is going to start, you're going to start Dexter Fowler in right field whenever it starts. Okay, cool. But does Schilt will Schilt to you, your word there, the word I use because of Dunk, Huevos, will he have the Huevos Rancheros to say, I don't care who's got the freaking contract, I'm paid to win games.
Right.
Dexter Fowler sitting or Matt Carpenter sitting. And hopefully both guys, come off and they're on a tear. Great. I don't care. Honestly, I root for the Cardinals. I don't root for specific players. So I hope it's Carpenter or Fowler, whoever, and the team is winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's, I always try to remind myself during the off season or even the trade deadline. I'm mad when they don't do anything because I'm a fan of them. I love them to death. But again, it's it's a business. They're going to play Matt Carpenter. They're going to play Dexter Fowler because it's a business. They have all this money invested in them. So towards the end of the day, I might be upset, but I had to sit here and be like, well, I'm watching baseball. I love baseball. I love this team, and there's nothing I can personally do about it. So try not to get super upset about it.
Yeah, you're way too pragmatic. You're stinging too much sensitive, So
well, I'm trying to. It's probably because there's no baseball on right now. I'm trying to be calm about it, but that's the hard side. I get most of my arguments are about baseball, so I just it gets crazy during the baseball too.
I mean, the emotional aspect. That's why we're fans. I mean, Smooth. You started off the show tonight asking me about the. When I knew I became a sports fan, look, there's an emotion behind it.
Right.
The more I do radio, the more I try to put myself in Doug Armstrong's shoes or John Mozeliak's bow tie and be like, look, this is, I get what he's trying to do. I trust me, those guys are not like, I'm going to kick my feet up. I'm going to check my bank account constantly, and that's all I care about. No, these guys are trying to win games the best way they can. They're going to make mistakes, certainly, and you hope that they don't have a bunch of mistakes to cost your favorite team games. And for the most part, I think John Mozeliak's done a great job. And I get a lot of pushback on that sometimes. But I'll tell you what, if the Cardinals were to fire that dude, 30 teams in Major League Baseball, I bet he gets 29 phone calls.
Yeah.
If he gets left though, that's just the bottom line.
I mean, but it's the reason why we're called the Show Me State. We want to be shown something, and we don't want to have that process like the Cubs and the Astros, in which we had to have losing seasons to get to be a premier team again. We want to be able to just reload, not rebuild.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Which brings me to something else that you brought up earlier in regards to Mozeliak. To me, it seems like during the La Russa years, of course, with Pujols and Edman, Roland, the younger Yachty and Wainwright, etc., and that organization during that time frame, it was always pretty much World Series or bust. I'm getting the vibe that the organization at this present moment is about, let's get to the playoffs, and that's it. Am I right or wrong on that assumption?
You're right. That is the model, right? Hey, let's get into the dance. You're absolutely right, and I'm going to tell you why. And and again, this is something I get crushed on, and it's not a very popular opinion. You're right. It's just about making the playoffs, and I'm gonna explain why that's okay. It's not that they're content with making the playoffs. That's where a lot of fans. Hey, just get the fans in the stand. I'm gonna tell you something. The Cardinals, I have seen dwindling. I've seen more red seats at Busch Stadium in September than at any point since I arrived here in St. Louis. Yeah. Now, people are going to be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? They love baseball here." I know, but a lot of people are at home. The TV viewing experience at home is unbelievable right now. Mm-hmm. You've got your TV, you've got your family, you're multitasking constantly. You got your drinks, you got your bathroom. I'm not spending a couple $100 to go down to Busch Stadium. The fans are watching at home. It's not a Cardinals.
We'll be able to watch it at home because of all these TV deals.
Right. Well, absolutely, right? So it's not a Cardinals problem. It's not a baseball problem. It's a sports problem. People aren't going to the games anymore, right? They're watching it at home. So for the fans to say, look, they only want to get people to the stadium, and that's all they care about. No, the TV contract that they signed, they already got their money. Right. So let's just throw that out there. Okay? Throw that idea, that narrative in the trash. The reason why it's okay that they have kind of that approach is that baseball, more than any other sport, is completely random.
Right.
There are times when the ball will, go a half inch outside the foul line, and it's a foul ball, and the very next pitch is a strikeout, and the team wins a series or a game or whatever, and then the very next night that ball lands 6 inches in fair territory, right? Like it's random. So what the Cardinals are trying to do, despite the fact that the fans are furious beyond belief, is they're trying to win the most games over 162 games. That's what they're trying to do. So can they build the best team possible for 162 games? When you get into postseason, look, it's going to be random anyways. I get the notion of, hey, why don't you improve yourself? I'm with you on that, right? Mm-hmm. But they're playing for the 162 because 06, 11, the 3 San Francisco Giants World Series, they were never the best team. The Kansas City Royals, back-to-back World Series. One they lost in 7 games. The next year they win. They weren't the best teams. For every Boston Red Sox 2018 team, that was a juggernaut, and they're probably cheating on top of it. There's that get into the postseason, they catch fire, a la the Washington Nationals last year, right? The Nationals weren't the best team, period. So they're trying to win over 162 games. So, Smooth, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it irritates a lot of fans, and I get it. And I do think that they need to be more aggressive and less risk-averse at times. But I do understand the idea of let's worry about the 162 first. How can we build a team that is sustainable over 162 games? Then when the postseason gets here, then hopefully we catch enough fire to really make a dent in things.
Kind of like Bernie always says, like, just get into the tournament and then see what happens.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. Or kind of even like with the Blues last year. We were steaming hot going into it, but like obviously the Lightning and the Bruins, they were probably the scariest teams going into it. But sometimes you catch some bounces and this and that, and you come out being the best team at the end of it.
The Lightning team was incredible last year. They got swept.
They get bounced for the first round.
Right. Yeah. Now, the teams that people bring up, the Dodgers and the Yankees, right? Dodgers, they traded Mookie Betts. What is John Mozeliak doing? The Yankees signed Garrett Cole. What are they doing? Okay.
KK
Look at those two teams. What's that?
KK Kill.
Yeah, so, what are Cardinals doing? They signed another international. What the hell, right? Okay. I'm with you. However, let's go over the Yankees here for a second. Aaron Judge, Gleyber Torres, Gary Sanchez, Luis Severino before he gets hurt. The list goes on. They drafted a core and then added Stan and then added Garrett Cole. The Dodgers, Justin Turner, Bellinger, you know, the kid in Walker Buehler in the rotation, Clayton Kershaw. They drafted those guys. I'm sorry. You know,
I still don't understand how the Dodgers keep getting that talent through the system, but it just blows my mind.
Joe, they know what the hell they're doing. That's why. They know what they're doing.
And that's my issue with the Cardinals is that, yeah, okay,
they don't.
we may not be getting those top picks, but I think we have shown a very poor job in evaluating talent, and that includes getting free agents, like you said with Dexter Fowler, or like you brought up earlier about the contract of Matt Carpenter. We just been making some very bad decisions in regards to who we should bring up, who we should re-sign, who should we, trade for. This has been a very bad trend with this organization for the last few years.
Bingo. Exactly. If you're gonna be upset over anything, don't be upset because they didn't sign Anthony Rendon. Be upset that they haven't drafted the next Nolan Arenado. That's my
hopefully like Gorman and Carlson are those people, because
they better be.
I feel totally confident with Jack Flaherty, holding things down with the rotation. So hopefully those other guys turn out to be something too.
Right.
That's right.
All right, so with that being said, we definitely have to bring you back on Starter later on down the road and have you in person so we can have even more great discussions about so many different sports topics. It's definitely been an honor to have you on the show.
It was my pleasure, seriously. I mean, if you guys want to set something up when there's actual sports back, love to see the studio, meet you guys all in person. And, hey, actually, I had an opportunity to shake your guys' hands because right now, it's not too good. Everybody stay at home, okay?
Right. Joe, thanks once again for everything. And Stan, thanks for making it happen for me. Appreciate everyone who's part of the show, and for those who have been watching from Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, the whole nine. Thank you very much. This has been an incredible show. I am your boy Smooth, along with
Stan, baby.
Special guest
Anthony Stalter.
And from Joe Knows,
Joe Bo.
Once again, next week is our 3-year anniversary. We won't be at the venue that we plan to be at due to the virus situation. We're going to be here. We're going to still have a good time. We'll get some guests going on the line and have a fun time. But when it's about sports,
it becomes our business. And one day, business will pick up again.
And y'all have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Share this with your peoples. Y'all have a good evening. We out.
Yeah.